Lucian walked slowly down the street, his expression calm. He had already passed several shops and discovered that these interstellar alien businesses were all crow. In Lucian's spatial storage bracelet, he had so many materials, including no less than 6 sets of level 10 or higher cold weapons, yet the highest offer he received was less than 12,000 Black Star coins. I won't sell for now. I'll find Fair later and ask for his help to handle it. Lucian abandoned the idea of selling the items himself, it was better to just go shopping. He looked up in the distance at an extremely luxurious and grand skyscraper. Hanging on the main gate was a logo in the shape of a spaceship, with a sign that read Super Dark Spaceships in the common cosmic language. Lucian's eyes flickered, and he walked directly towards the building. The inside of the skyscraper was wide and open, revealing a large hall. Spaceships were displayed brilliantly under the bright lights, looking like models. The size of a car. Many people were here, sightseeing and resting. The young man broke into a cold sweat as he looked at the price list. A small, level 1 spaceship cost 80 million Black Star coins, an astronomical price. Damn it, I knew spaceships would be expensive, but I didn't expect them to be so expensive that I can't even afford a down payment. Do I have to deal with installment plans even after coming to space? The young man clutched his head in frustration. I knew it. The most valuable assets of the Red Copper Pirates were their ships. If the reward Fair gets for me isn't in the hundreds of millions, I'm going to lose it with him. Just as Lucian was stressing, a voice suddenly sounded from behind him. Oh, it's you. Lucian clearly felt the voice was directed at him. He turned around to see a familiar, exquisitely beautiful red-haired woman standing behind him, looking at him with a surprised expression. What are you doing here? Lucian was also a bit surprised to recognize her. It was the woman he had bumped into at the city hall, the daughter of Count West, the young lady Kiao Kiao. Lucian had mistakenly eaten her star-devouring worm, so he had a deep impression of her. A chill went down the young man's spine as he thought, could she have found out that I ate her star-devouring worm, and is here to settle the score? Cao Kiao also had a deep impression of Lucian, mainly because of his outstanding appearance and temperament. Even among the high-level races of the cosmos, he could be considered prominent, a 1 in 1,000 find, making him hard to forget. Cao Kiao replied cheerfully, what a coincidence. I came with my brother to buy a spaceship. It looks like you're here for the same reason. Lucian nodded. Yeah, but I didn't expect the ships here to be so expensive. Have you found your pet, Poppy? Seeing Cao Kiao's expression, Lucian breathed a sigh of relief, thinking, it seems she hasn't found out it was me. Lucian and Cao Kiao chatted casually for a while when a young blonde man with 2 guards approached. They were led by a female manager to the VIP area. The young man was extravagantly dressed, with handsome features and a noble air. Behind him followed 2 guards with profound auras and sharp eyes. The female manager introduced a high-level spaceship to him. This one is a level 11, priced at 700 million. The blonde young man listened to the manager's introduction and nodded casually. I'll take this one. Yes, thank you very much for your support of our super dark company, young Master Milton. The spaceship will be delivered to your residence today. Hearing the blonde man's decision, the manager's face broke into a smile, her demeanor becoming incredibly attentive. The blonde young man waved his hand dismissively. No need to deliver it to my residence. Just give me the keys. I'm preparing the ship as a gift for someone, they will come to pick it up themselves. These words were a bombshell to the manager and the nearby sales staff. Everyone inwardly gasped. A 700 million credit spaceship being given as a gift was something only a young master from Count Milton's household could do. Thinking deeper, the identity of the person receiving a 700 million credit spaceship from the son of Count West was even more unimaginable. Shaken as they were, such matters among the upper-class aristocracy were not for mere salespeople and managers like them to speculate on. The female manager bowed her head. Yes, I will go and handle the procedures for you right away. The blonde young man casually looked at the spaceship model before him, a satisfied expression on his face. He thought to himself, I heard that person is passionate about collecting spaceships. This latest black hole predator model should be to his liking. It's a rare occasion for him to visit the Yamistar sector, so I must seize this opportunity to build a good relationship. If it can establish a connection with him, it will be of great benefit not only to me and my father but to the entire West family. Milton suddenly remembered something and looked around. Where's Cao Kiao? A guard stepped forward and whispered a few words in young Master Milton's ear. Young Master Milton frowned slightly and asked himself, who is that guy? Never mind, take me over there. At the same time, Lucian was trying to console the red-haired girl. Relax a little. Maybe your Poppy just got bored and went out to play. It might come back in a couple of days. I hope so. Cao Kiao pouted, still a bit down. Lucian didn't know what else to say. Cao Kiao, remembering something, asked curiously, that's right, you're a new citizen who just joined the interstellar community, aren't you? I've never seen you before. And what else? Lucian thought, looking at the girl before him. He had wanted to end the conversation several times to find a chance to leave, but Cao Qiao kept the conversation going, leaving him no opportunity. It's like she hasn't talked to anyone in a long time, so she just keeps talking to me without stopping. She probably doesn't have many real friends. The young man was reminded of another girl he had met. She's a lot like Fiona, both beautiful flowers in a greenhouse who have never experienced the wind and rain. But compared to Fiona, her status is clearly much nobler. The more precious and beautifully this flower blooms, the fiercer the gardener protecting it must be. Daohyo. At that moment, a voice echoed in the hall. Lucian turned his head without changing his expression. He saw a group of people descending the stairs from the third floor. In the center was a young man radiating a noble aura, his features bearing a 2 to 3/10 resemblance to Cao Qiao's. Sigh. Lucian sighed internally. Cao Qiao's brother called out. She then turned and said to Lucian with a smile, "My brother is here. Let me introduce you." Like the moon surrounded by stars, young Master Milton quickly walked over to where Lucian was. Cao Qiao happily introduced them. "This is young Master Milton, my brother. This is Lucian, a friend I made not long ago." Milton ignored Lucian and spoke directly to Cao Qiao. "Cao Qiao, I was on the third floor and just heard someone talking about a golden star devouring worm. Is it Poppy?" Cao Qiao's beautiful eyes lit up. Young Master Milton smiled. "Who knows? Maybe it is. Where? Where? Quickly, take me there." As soon as Cao Qiao heard news about her pet, she became anxious. "Take the young miss." Young Master Milton ordered a guard beside him, who nodded slightly. "Young miss, let me take you there." Cao Qiao eagerly started to leave, then remembered she hadn't said goodbye to Lucian and turned back. "Oh, Lucian, wait a moment. I have to go check it out. Talk with my brother for a bit, I'll be right back." Lucian watched Cao Qiao leave. When he turned back, he was met with young Master Milton's ice-cold face. "Young Master." Milton looked at Lucian with contempt. A country bumpkin from a low-level resource planet, relying on some talent and hugging the thigh of a level 11 law enforcer, and you think you can set your sights on our West family. Hearing this, Lucian could only sigh in frustration. Here we go again with this damned Klitsch plot. Milton coldly warned Lucian, "Don't let me see a lowly life form like you again. If I find out you've met with Cao Qiao again, whether intentionally or by chance, then the law enforcer you think is your backer, along with your insignificant home planet, will completely disappear from this universe." After speaking, young Master Milton turned and left without giving Lucian a chance to respond. Before Lucian could even react, the female manager with the super dark high-end spaceship company name tag on her chest walked up to him and said coldly, "I am sorry, sir. You have displeased our VIP guest. You are no longer welcome here. Please leave." Immediately, Lucian was escorted out of the super dark spaceship store. After being thrown out, Lucian stood in place, muttering to himself. From young Master Milton's appearance to being kicked out by super dark, it all happened in less than a few minutes. He had expected the gardener protecting the greenhouse flower Cao Qiao to be harsh, cold, and rough, but he hadn't expected him to be so unreasonable. And he ended by threatening me. How long has it been since someone threatened me? Forget it. He's probably met too many people with ulterior motives towards Cao Qiao, and he has to act this way to protect her. It's still forgivable. After all, he's from an interstellar noble family, and I'm a newcomer. I can't just act recklessly, or as that young Master Milton said, both Fair and the Azure Star will be in trouble. Isn't it just a bit of humiliation? On my path to shouldering the supreme mission of saving a universe, how can I not endure this small bit of humiliation and grievance? The world's indifference is like a passing cloud to me. A single laugh is all it takes to get over it. Lucian walked away from the building, laughing and consoling himself. But after just a few steps, he stopped. His face was very calm, and his eyes were equally calm. He stood there silently for a moment, lost in thought. Suddenly Lucian roared, "Fuck. Damn it, I still can't take it." With that, he spun around and walked back into the super dark spaceship building. After Lucian left, Milton returned to the third floor. The moment he entered, Cao Qiao anxiously asked, "Brother, they weren't talking about Poppy at all." Milton replied slowly, "Is that so? Perhaps I misheard. You know, eavesdropping is very impolite behavior." Seeing that Lucian hadn't come up with Milton, Cao Qiao asked, "Then what about Lucian? Why didn't he come up with you? Did Lucian leave?" Milton paused before answering, "Oh, it seems he had something urgent to attend to and left in a hurry." Hearing this, Cao Qiao pouted and glared. She seemed all too familiar with her brother's tricks and clenched her fists in anger. "It's like this every time, brother. Don't think I don't know." By now, Cao Qiao was fuming. Seeing this, Milton tried to console her. "Next time we see that friend of yours, I'll invite him to dinner, all right?" When Cao Qiao turned to leave, Milton called out, "Aren't you coming with me?" Cao Qiao replied curtly, "I don't want to. I'm going home." Cao Qiao's retreating figure grew smaller, her small frame trembling with resentment, her fists clenched so tightly they turned white. Her chest heaved violently, and she wanted to scream. This is infuriating. Ultimately, she could only stomp her feet heavily on the ground to vent her anger. Milton stood silently, his cold and profound gaze fixed on that trembling back. He narrowed his eyes slightly and gave a low command to a subordinate bowing behind him. Send someone to escort the young miss home. Ensure she reaches the door safely. The subordinate immediately bowed lower. As you command. Standing behind the glass wall of the top floor, Milton was like a silent statue, his gaze piercing through the vast space to lock onto the small figure of his beloved sister. His vision followed her every step, steadfast and possessive, until her form stooped into the waiting luxury car. Milton shook his head and said, Cao Cao doesn't understand now, but sooner or later she will realize that everything I do is for her own good. Then, he asked a guard behind him, do you know when Fair will arrive? The level 11 guard quickly replied, he will land at Dock 1 at 300 p.m. tomorrow. Remind me to greet him then. Milton paused, then continued, have Cao Cao come along. The guard's face showed hesitation. The young miss is currently at, I'm not sure if she will, Milton said coldly to say it's an order from father. We can't indulge her personality too much. The noble daughter of a count, having grown up in a greenhouse for over 20 years, it's time for her to mature. It's precisely because Cao Cao has met so few people that after meeting an outstanding high-level life form like Lanchi, she won't be so easily interested in just anyone. At this point, Milton clenched his fists in anger. That country bumpkin who just appeared out of nowhere thinks he can climb the great tree that is our West family just because he has a decent face. Does he really? Think everyone is as naive and easily deceived as Cao Cao? How disgusting. Seeing Milton's anger, the guard remained silent, listening quietly. Suddenly, a terrifying crash rang out, tearing through the quiet space. The composure on Milton's face shattered in an instant. He spun around, his once deep eyes now shot with cold, bloodshot veins. What is going on? He roared, his voice no longer a question but a command demanding an immediate answer. But then, all sound and fury vanished. His gaze froze, fixed on the scene before him. A streak of blindingly brilliant light was rapidly approaching, aimed straight at him. Young master, watch out, Milton's level 11 guard shouted, but it was too late. Boom. A cataclysmic explosion erupted. With no chance to resist, Milton's body was engulfed by the light and shot backward like a cannonball, violently slamming into the solid wall. Dust and debris filled the air as the wall crumbled into countless pieces. Milton was deeply embedded in the rubble. He coughed up a mouthful of fresh blood. Ew, what happened? It hurts so much. His entire body was numb, and cold sweat dripped from his forehead. Fear and horror surged from the depths of his heart like a tidal wave. I almost died. At that moment, footsteps approached, accompanied by a loud shout. A murderous intent, as cold and tangible as ice, descended from the heavens, pulling the dazed Milton back to reality. Milton, you violated my beloved pet pig and then cruelly killed her. Today, I will avenge my pet and make you die by 1,000 cuts. The furious and murderous voice thundered across the city sky like a clap of thunder. Milton looked up, and saw that the overwhelming killing intent came from a slender, handsome man with ordinary features. He was completely stunned. I raped and killed a pig. What the hell is going on? But before Milton could react, the figure slashed at him again. A terrifying blade light reappeared, a visible wave of black energy carrying in apocalyptic killing intent, instantly tearing through the void and striking directly at him. Bastard, the guard beside Milton roared and charged forward. Do you know who you're messing with? Milton's guard was also a level 11 expert. A pair of black gloves had appeared on his hands, and with a flash, he blocked the attack in front of Milton, crossing his arms to firmly resist the blade light. But his expression quickly changed. The terrifying purple blade light was far beyond his expectations. It not only tore through the void with overwhelming force, but it also contained terrifying cutting and concussive power. The moment he made contact, the level 11 guard was sent flying back, blood streaming from his facial orifices. Then, the handsome man radiating killing intent slashed again. Get lost. I'm here for revenge on Milton. Anyone who gets in the way dies. Boom. The level 11 guard was struck squarely by the blade light, spat out a mouthful of blood, and was sent flying to an unknown location. Milton couldn't believe his eyes. He grieved for his guard in utter confusion. Alam, a peak level 11 master, was killed in one move. Then, the handsome man's figure flickered and instantly appeared before Milton. He coolly stuck his hands in his pockets and said, "Thought you had some skill." He repeated loudly, "I'm here for revenge on Milton. Anyone who stands in my way dies." At this point, Milton was so scared he could have wet his pants. He stammered, Don't come any closer." Before Milton could react, the man reached out, grabbed him by the neck, and lifted his entire body off the ground. "Milton, when you violated my pet pig, you should have known this day would come." The handsome man's ice-cold eyes stared at Milton. "Do you know how many years that pig was with me?" The man pulled Milton closer, almost nose to nose, and roared, 155, a full 155 years. She was already an old sow. Why couldn't you leave her alone? Wait, Are you even human? The man's words were filled with intense rage and sorrow. His voice was so loud that almost everyone in the district heard it. The battle between level 11 experts had already attracted a crowd. Upon hearing these words, a commotion broke out. What's going on? Lucian, in the guise of the handsome man, activated his mental hypnosis ability. A powerful spiritual force radiated from him, deeply affecting all the onlookers. Upon hearing the man's words, many people quickly took out their communicators to record Milton. Many were so moved they were on the verge of tears and began to verbally abuse Milton. Damn, he wouldn't even let a 150-year-old so go. Is this guy even human? He's Milton, the young master of the West family, and he has such a disgusting hobby. To think he looks so respectable in those clothes. What a beast, this kind of animal should be exiled to a garbage planet. Kill him. Kill this animal. In a short time the crowd was in an uproar, and countless eyes full of contempt were fixed on Milton, who was being choked tightly, unable to utter a single word. He was suffocated by the terrifying aura and killing intent emanating from his opponent. Hearing the curses around him, he was terrified, angry, and felt utterly wronged. If he hadn't been choked, he would have coughed up blood from sheer indignation. Damn it, he thought, when the hell did I ever rape a 150-year-old sow? The handsome man vented all his emotions, 2 streams of tears running down his face. He was a convincing actor, his eyes filled with deep sorrow as he whispered, "Lil piggy, rest in peace. I will kill this beast right now to avenge you. Kill him. Kill him. Kill this animal," countless onlookers shouted. Under the accusatory fingers of 1,000 people, the handsome man's eyes settled on Milton. He spoke calmly, so softly that only Milton could hear. "It's all over, Milton Nicholas. Repent for your sins in endless pain and death." Milton, already on the verge of suffocation, heard these words and his eyes widened. He began to struggle violently. "What? Wait, don't kill me yet, I have something to say. Don't kill me." Milton's entire power erupted. In his desperation, he unleashed unparalleled potential. The West family bloodline shone with unprecedented brilliance at this moment. Lucian continued his act, shouting, "It's no use. Burn, my cosmos." Finally, a miracle happened. Under Milton's desperate struggle, the handsome man's level 11 oppressive grip loosened for a fraction of a second. Milton didn't let the opportunity slip. He got a gasp of air, and used all his strength to fight for his life in that small opening. He cleared his throat and screamed, "Wait, my name is Milton West. From the West family, not Nicholas." Milton's voice echoed through the city's inner district, instantly silencing the angry crowd. As he said these words, he felt the pressure on his neck lessen significantly. Lucian then let go, dropping Milton. The young man continued his act, feigning surprise. He leaned in as if he couldn't believe it and asked, "What did you say your name was?" "My name is Milton West." Lucian shouted, Can't hear you at all. Louder, say it again." Milton screamed again, "My name is Milton West. I am the son of Count West, Milton West." This time, Milton's voice was even louder and clearer. Not only did everyone below hear it, but even people in the neighboring downtown area heard it clearly. Lucian pointed a finger straight at his face. "Are you sure you're Milton West? Do you have any ID to show me?" Okay. A look of satisfaction flashed across the handsome man's face but was quickly hidden. His expression became serious as he pointed at Milton. "Is that so? You're certain you're Milton West? Show me your ID." Milton quickly took out his identification card to verify his identity as several patrol ships were already approaching. The handsome man glanced at it casually, nodded, and said, apologetically, "Oh my. This is so embarrassing. I got the wrong person. I'll go find the real Milton Nicholas to get my revenge. Let me buy you a meal next time we have a chance." The young man scratched his head, feigning an apology for the mistake. Milton let out a sigh of relief, feeling lucky to have survived the ordeal. "Phew, the misunderstanding is resolved. I was lucky to escape with my life. This is too absurd. How could someone mistake me for another Milton and seek revenge?" Thankfully, nothing unexpected happened. All's well that ends well. The ancestors of the West family are watching over me, Milton thought to himself. Just as he thought the farce was over, another sound rose from below. "Milton West, I've Count West." I looked him up, "That's him." Milton looked down and saw countless onlookers. They were all staring at him with looks of indescribable contempt and resentment, pointing their fingers at him. Damn, the son of a count doing something so shameless. It's unimaginable. I'd heard that some upper-class nobles have special tastes, but I never believed it. Turns out it's all true. He wouldn't even spare a 150-year-old sow. He's a true beast. Milton was stunned. He snapped back to reality and hurriedly tried to explain, "You're all mistaken. I am not that Milton. I didn't rape." But before he could finish, he was cut off by the crowd. A righteous passerby, filled with a sense of justice, leaped out, slapped Milton across the face, and shouted, "Stop making excuses. You are Milton. You just admitted it yourself, and you shouted it so loudly, The righteous passerby continued pointing at Milton's face. Everyone heard you. That's right. Why were you shouting so loud? Afraid we couldn't hear you clearly. You're so arrogant. You didn't just shout it once, but 2 or 3 times. What audacity. Milton felt the physical pain and the resentment tearing his chest apart. He threw his head back, his face contorted into a grotesque mask, and a guttural roar escaped from deep in his throat, no longer a human sound but like the roar of a wounded, cornered beast. It wasn't me, this is infuriating. Determined colliding 10,000 years into the future, Milton recalled everything that had just happened. The middle-aged man had come for revenge, calling him Milton at first. At that time, the onlookers didn't know who he was or which Milton he was. Then, to prove his own innocence, he had screamed his full name. And that was that. Everyone now knew he was Milton West, son of Count West. But when the middle-aged man admitted he had the wrong person, he had spoken so softly that no one else could hear. From now on, the entire population of the Yamu Star sector would probably believe that he had actually raped a 150-year-old sow. Milton's vision went dark, and he nearly fainted on the spot. Damn it, what the hell is this? Milton roared in bitter indignation in his heart. Lucian took the opportunity to slip away. The nearby crowd, hearing the news, rushed towards Milton's location. Did you hear? Quick, there's big news over there. Gossip, what a scoop. Seeing the eager expressions of the gossip mongers, Lucian was delighted. The young man nodded in satisfaction. I've thought it through. A little fun is enough. In a corner of the city, the body of the middle-aged man who had just caused a commotion in the inner city emitted a series of cracking sounds. His form changed, and in an instant, he reverted to Lucian's appearance. Lucian rolled his neck, looking at the noisy inner city in the distance with an extremely relaxed and satisfied smile on his face. This time, it settled properly. He had changed his physical form, used his will projection to simulate a different aura, and only utilized his level 11 spiritual power and the long-unused path of slaughter to perfectly construct the image of a mysterious avenger. Then, he had ruthlessly beaten Milton up and framed him. After all, he's Kupyao's brother, so I couldn't be too cruel. Teasing him like this is enough. Lucian took out his communicator, connected to the Yamu Star Sector's network, and casually typed in the name Milton West. The young man was very surprised. Oh, the speed at which news spreads here is twice as fast as on Earth. The search results immediately showed all sorts of information, such as, Count Sun is cruel and inhuman, possesses unique tastes, sisters protect the pigs around you, and disgusting, he actually likes old sows. Lucian nodded with satisfaction, thinking to himself, that's the real way to solve a problem. The rumor has already spread. Proving his innocence is now impossible. How satisfying. Revenge is a dish best served immediately, and it requires both strength and cunning. This was far more gratifying than just beating him up. Lucian, you really are getting more and more outstanding. Lucian couldn't help but praise himself. The anger that had been building in his chest was completely swept away, and he happily walked back to his hotel. Today was truly a good day. A few days later, Lucian and Fair headed to the Favor Academy on a spaceship. Fair was explaining the details of the trip to Lucian. The Favor Academy is the highest institution in each star sector, recruiting only the martial arts geniuses with the best talent. Once you are admitted, you can enjoy the best resources, treatment, and inheritances the star sector has to offer. It's no exaggeration to say that every member of the Favor Academy has a status no less than that of an interstellar noble with the title of Viscount. Because every graduate from the Favor Academy, even the one with the poorest martial arts achievements, is at least a level 11 expert, and not just an ordinary one. Lucian couldn't help but ask curiously, Fair, were you also a student at the Favor Academy? Fair shook his head. I wish. My aptitude isn't outstanding enough. I participated in the selection for the Favor Academy before, but I wasn't accepted. The current chief enforcer of the law enforcement department, Lord Andre, graduated from the Favor Academy. He's only 5,000 years old this year but is already a level 12 powerhouse. Fair pointed at Lucian and continued, but with your aptitude, passing the Favor Academy's entrance exam is no problem at all. If you perform exceptionally well, you might even have the chance to go to the main Favor Academy on the capital star of the Serpent Galaxy. A look of longing and emotion appeared on Fair's face. That is the true gathering place of the cosmos's freaks of nature, where the prodigies of 10,000 races compete. Anyone even slightly mediocre who goes there will be crushed into dust. The Yamu Star sector was still too small, pitifully small. Hearing Fair say this, Lucian silently mocked him in his heart. Damn, small. So small that I can't even afford a spaceship to travel around in. Fair continued to provide information to Lucian. The Favor Academy normally only recruits once every 1,000 years. The last recruitment was 300 years ago, so according to tradition, you would have to wait another 700 years. But we're lucky. You have good fortune, because a major figure is borrowing the Academy's bloodline star chart to test his aptitude. You can ride his coattails and get tested as well. As long as your aptitude meets the standard, you can be admitted as an exception. Lucian's eyes flickered. Wait 700 years. What major figure has that much influence? The son of the interstellar Marquis Lan, Lanchi, Fair explained. Marquis Lan is a level 13 expert whose fame resounds across dozens of star sectors. The Lan family, based on the capital star of the Serpent Galaxy, is a considerable clan. Marquis Lan established himself in our Yamu star sector and was one of the most outstanding geniuses and experts from the Yamu Favor Academy in the last 50,000 years. Marquis Lan has always remembered his roots, and almost all of his descendants returned to the Yamu star sector to be tested. His second son, Lanchi, has already had his aptitude tested here once before. He has a 5-star transcendent life physique, the Radiant Moon physique. This time he's returned, it's likely his physique has had another breakthrough, and he's preparing to aim for the Blazing Sun physique. Lucian listened to Fair's long explanation, but only a few words stuck. A transcendent life physique isn't fixed and unchanging, but can continuously break through. Lucian was a little surprised. He had always thought that bloodlines were something one was born with. Although his own stellar body had continuously broken through, it was only after several arduous and difficult reconstructions of his martial body. He didn't expect to hear from Fair that this kind of thing seemed to be quite common. How could he stand that? So you're saying, Lucian began, it's difficult for me to break through the shackles of my transcendent life physique in the future, but it's not absolutely impossible. Exactly, Fair explained. A level 13 martial arts expert like Marquis Lan has extremely superior genes. His life level far surpasses that of ordinary people, and his descendants who inherit his bloodline are equivalent to having a naturally born transcendent life physique. Then, by referencing Marquis Lan gene template, they can adjust the gene sequence. Therefore, it is entirely possible for Lanchi to break through his shackles and achieve a physique infinitely close to that of Marquis Lan. Lucian clicked his tongue. Oh, so you can really modify it. That's cheating. According to Fair's meaning, a level 13 expert, as long as he put in enough effort, could completely allow his descendants to possess a talent physique almost on par with his own. That seems a bit too unfair. Fair continued to explain, but while that's the theory, the actual operation is not as simple as we imagine. Otherwise, transcendent life physiques wouldn't be so precious. Moreover, even if you can adjust the genes, it's impossible to adjust them to the exact same level as the gene template. Achieving 70%. Now even half would be very good. The gene combination of life is the most wondrous and mysterious existence in the universe. People like you with naturally born transcendent life physiques are each extremely precious living materials. Fair was half joking, half serious. I'd bet that after your test results come out, countless interstellar nobles will be fighting to marry their daughters to you. You'll instantly become the most sought-after golden son-in-law in this star sector. Going with the flow, Lucian also joked with Fair. Haha, Fair, if you had a daughter, given our friendship, I might seriously consider it. Hearing this, Fair's eyes lit up. Really? I have a whole bunch of nieces. Cold sweat broke out on Lucian's forehead as he thought, don't you? Aliens understand a polite refusal. Lucian was so scared that he quickly waved his hands and said with a sheepish smile, I was just kidding. I already have a fiance. Fair waved his hand dismissively. At your level, how can one wife be enough? A strong man should have beauties as numerous as the clouds. Sowing your seed and leaving is a blessing for them. A chill went down the young man's spine upon hearing this, and his face scrunched up. If I were the one who said that, I'd be crucified by the netizens. Lucian could only shake his head, thinking to himself that he really shouldn't have made such a careless joke, which Fair had actually taken seriously. Fortunately, Fair didn't linger on the topic, and continued to tell Lucian about some things to pay attention to during the bloodline test. After that, he suddenly handed a tablet to Lucian and asked, oh, right, have you ever seen this person? On the screen was a photo of a slender, middle-aged man with ordinary features, and an overwhelming killing intent. This face looks familiar. Odd, isn't that the disguise I used to trick Milton? Lucian's eyes flashed. He stared at the person for a moment, then pretended to shake his head. No. Why? Is this person wanted? The young man thought to himself, luckily, he used spiritual power to change my appearance in the eyes of others. But he was too ugly. Fair said urgently, this person is wanted by the West family. Everyone is looking for him. I heard he caused Milton to lose a great deal of face. Oh. Lucian pretended to be curious. What happened? Fair briefly recounted the incident, which he described as a farce involving him and Count West's son, Milton. After listening, Lucian decisively commented, he deserved it. Fair's eyes flickered. What? Did you have a run-in with Milton? Yes, Lucian nodded without hesitation. I have some dealings with his sister, and he was very rude to me. To be honest, if he weren't a count's son and I didn't know his sister, I would have beaten him until he shat his pants right on the spot. Thar stared at Lucian's natural and casual expression. The last trace of suspicion in his eyes disappeared. You have a grudge against him. Well, alright, you'll have plenty of opportunities for revenge in the future. I remember a senior once said, 30 years east of the river, 30 years west of the river, don't look down on a poor young man. Who knows, once your transcendent life physique's level is tested, the West family might be crying and begging to marry their daughter to you. Lucian smiled nonchalantly. Really? Haha. Lucian and Fair continued to chat along the way. Fair looked at the scenery outside the window and said to Lucian, we've been talking for just a bit, and we're already here. Look at that stargate. Before Lucian's eyes appeared a gate tens of thousands of meters high. Below this giant gate were traces of being crushed by the void. In the center of the gate was a massive void vortex, leading to an unknown destination. Seeing this gate for the first time, one would be hit by a sense of ancient, vast emptiness. So magnificent, Lucian marveled. Thar said, if the entire Yamu star sector were to fall into enemy hands during the alien beast invasion, then this stargate would be the final battlefield we defend. Lucian asked curiously, what is that circular disk that looks like a giant sundial? In front of the stargate was a huge circular compass, like a sun, with a diameter of several thousand meters. It was dark blue, and its surface was inlaid with large and small spheres of varying sizes. Fair explained, that is the star chart for testing bloodlines, and the level of transcendent physiques. Fair pointed to the star chart and said to Lucian, the star chart can test bloodlines and the level of transcendent life physiques. It is said that when the legendary immortal bloodline appears, a light will rise from the center of the star chart that will shake the cosmos, and an extremely incredible phenomenon will occur. Oh. Like what? What kind of phenomenon? Lucian asked curiously. Fair shook his head. I don't know. Since the birth of the Yamu star sector, this star chart has never been fully lit up. Even the strongest martial artists have only managed to light up less than half of it. Lucian and Fair disembarked from the spaceship and approached the giant star gate. They hadn't arrived early. There were already quite a few people waiting in front of the star gate and star chart. Many spaceships were parked around the star gate. Lucian had previously thought Fair's spaceship was quite good, but looking around here, at least 9 out of 10 spaceships were more luxurious and beautiful. The people coming out of the spaceships were also dressed extravagantly, with extraordinary temperaments. Most were combinations of a level 11 expert accompanying one or several young people at level 9 or 10. Thar told Lucian to wait here, then he went over to socialize with some acquaintances. Many people were doing the same, but no matter their status, they all first paid their respects to an old man in a green robe standing in front of the star gate. This old man's aura and strength were the most powerful among everyone present. Lucian had met Celos before, and now he sensed an identical aura on this old man. This was a genuine level 12 expert, probably the person in charge of the Favor Academy, presiding over this talent test. Lucian guessed as much in his heart, and the facts proved him right. Fair returned after making his rounds, and introduced the identity of the green-robed old man to Lucian. That is the dean of the Favor Academy in the Yamu Star sector, Lord Mo Yun. The number of level 12 experts in the entire Yamu Star sector can be counted on one hand. Lucian committed the name Mo Yun to memory. The group didn't wait long before another spaceship appeared in the sky. This spaceship had a large lightning bolt-like symbol on its exterior. When this spaceship appeared, the crowd below immediately stirred, looking up at the ship and breaking into various discussions. Even Fair was excited. They're here. Soon, the spaceship slowly landed, kicking up a large cloud of dust. Then, the cabin door opened, and 2 figures, one in front of the other, walked out. Everyone's eyes focused on these 2 people. Lucian was no exception. The person in the lead was a tall young man with an extremely handsome face. He wore a high-end red combat suit that shimmered with golden light. His expression was indifferent, and on his forehead was a very eye-catching red lightning-shaped pattern. Without a doubt, this was Lanchi, the son of the famous Marquis Lan Nuo. The talent testing ceremony of the Favor Academy this time was opened entirely for him. Everyone else here was just riding his coattails. Following behind Lanchi was a middle-aged man. This man's gaze was cold, sweeping over everyone in the field as if looking down on a group of lower life forms, carrying an air of supreme arrogance and aggression. But he had the qualifications to do so, because he was the only other level 12 expert in the field, aside from the Dean of the Favor Academy standing in front of the Star Gate. Lucian thought to himself, he has such an arrogant aura, and he's a level 12 martial artist. His strength is on par with the Dean of the Favor Academy. To have a level 12 expert as a bodyguard, the background of an interstellar Marquis's family is truly extraordinary. Lucian now fully understood the depth of an interstellar Marquis's family. As Lanchi descended from the spaceship, the robed old man from the Favor Academy immediately went to greet him with a smile. Lanchi was also well-mannered, neither arrogant nor sycophantic, and bowed in greeting. Dean Mo Yun, my father asked me to send his regards to you on his behalf. The green-robed old man chatted with Lanchi and his bodyguard for a few sentences. Thank you for Marquis Lan Nuo's concern. Actually, This time we're opening the star chart not just for you. Lanchi was a little surprised. Oh, is there a martial artist in the field that you are looking forward to, sir? Haha. The green-robed old man didn't answer but stroked his beard, his expression majestic as he announced, let's begin. This talent test officially starts now. The old man waved his staff, controlling the star gate before him, and his voice boomed. Everyone has arrived at the right time. The once-in-a-millennium star chart aptitude test officially begins. Please step forward quickly. Then, the old man stroked his beard and nodded. It really makes one curious. What kind of surprise will the genius that the chief enforcer mentioned bring me? Lucian glanced at Lanchi and his companion a few times before looking away. He found himself more interested in the star gate, and the star chart responsible for testing talent. He still wasn't clear on how the talent testing process worked. He also recalled Fair's words about the legendary immortal bloodline descending, causing the center of the star chart to emit a light that would shake the cosmos. What exactly was the immortal bloodline? Was it the blazing sun physique? Lucian didn't know. Once the test began, someone quickly stepped up to provide Lucian with a demonstration. It was a tall, dark-skinned young man with a strong physique. A rope was bound around his body. His eyebrows were distinctive, slanting towards his temples, and he had thick, brown lips. An unconcealable excitement shone in his eyes, as if he was desperate to prove himself. I'll go first. He walked out from the crowd, followed by a round-faced, slightly chubby man who quickly said, do your best. Don't be nervous. The tall, dark-skinned man replied, please rest assured, my Lord Baron. I will not disappoint you. The Baron smiled smugly. Good. As long as you perform outstandingly, I will grant you your freedom. And you can even become a true interstellar noble. The tall man obediently acknowledged his words. Lucian noticed a tattoo on the young man's neck, a mark indicating he was a slave. Lucian's eyes flickered slightly. It was clear that many others had noticed it as well, seemingly accustomed to such sights. At this moment, Fair spoke up from the side. Many interstellar nobles, after the line of level 11 experts in their family is broken, fear their titles will be revoked. So, they try every means to recruit martial arts talent from various channels. The most common is the interstellar slave market, where you can still find people with decent martial arts aptitude. After all, not everyone can control their own destiny like you can. Those people need to maintain their noble titles. If they happen to find an expert who can help them solidify their noble status, the price will skyrocket. Those desperate to keep their titles will sell everything they own to make the purchase. Lucian asked curiously, why not just scout from within their own territories? Fair shook his head. You're overthinking it. Hoping for a top-tier genius to emerge from your own small patch of land is less likely than winning the grand prize in the interstellar lottery. At this, Fair couldn't help but glance at Lucian and chuckle. Finding Lucian, and on a low-level resource planet in the White Fog Star sector no less, wasn't that like winning the grand prize of the interstellar lottery himself. The thought made Fair laugh out loud with joy. He imagined holding Lucian up like a valuable golden trophy after an interstellar soccer match. By now the sturdy, dark-skinned young man had reached the star chart. He leaped up, bringing his body level with the chart. The black-robed old man sitting with Lanchi reminded him calmly, cut your palm and drip your blood onto the chart. Yes. The young man clenched his fist and cut his right palm. As fresh blood flowed out, he quickly pressed his bleeding hand onto the star chart. The blood was absorbed into the chart, and quickly vanished. Immediately after, the entire star chart began to hum and emit a white light. The eyes of everyone in the field shifted slightly, though no one seemed particularly surprised. The young man, however, looked bewildered. He turned to look at the black-robed elder, then at his Baron master, at a loss for what to do. So, is this it? Is it done? The slightly chubby Baron was so anxious he stomped his feet and shouted, you idiot, push it. Push the star chart. Use all your strength. Push it as far as you can. So that's how it works. All right. The young man finally understood, and quickly placed both hands on the edge of the star chart. The muscles in his arms bulged as he prepared to push. The massive star chart, however, didn't budge an inch. The young man was taken aback for a moment, then, without hesitation, he glared and roared. Rumble! A massive amount of the world's energy and natural cosmic power converged, and a colossal martial avatar suddenly rose from the ground. At the 9th, 10th, and even 11th levels of martial arts, the martial avatar was still the peak state of combat power. Only upon breaking through to the 12th level would the body of laws replace it, causing it to exit the stage entirely. In front of the 7,000-meter-tall giant avatar, the star chart, with its diameter of several thousand meters, seemed much smaller, like an ordinary millstone. The young man's avatar gripped the edge of the star chart and pushed with all its might. Veins bulged on the giant avatar's face as it let out a thunderous roar. Move for me. Rumble. Finally the massive star chart slowly began to turn. Fair observed the avatar and mumbled, that young man's martial avatar is about 7,000 meters tall. For his strength at only level 9, that's quite outstanding. That level 10 Finn from before only had an 8,000-meter avatar. However, this level of aptitude doesn't attract any attention from anyone present here. As the star chart rotated, the small spheres on its edge lit up one by one. The young man's master, the Baron, couldn't help but show a look of joy. He clenched his fists excitedly, muttering, "It's lighting up, it's lighting up." The star chart had a total of 9 rings, but just as it lit up the third ring, boom, the 7,000-meter tall martial avatar shattered. The spinning star chart came to a halt, stationary on the third ring. A figure fell from mid-air, landing with a thud on the ground, his face pale, clearly having exhausted all his strength. After observing for a while, Lucian understood quite a bit. Pushing that star chart could completely drain the power of a level 9 martial artist. This star chart is quite interesting. The dean of the Favor Academy in the Yamu Star Sector, Mo Yun, loudly announced the result. Star chart radiance, white. Star chart light points, 2 rings. Transcendent life physique level, 2 star. Does not meet the Academy's admission standards. There was no commotion from the audience. After all, many were not attending the Favor Academy's talent test for the first time. They could understand the test results at a glance. Hearing the result, the tall, dark-skinned man trembled. All his hopes of escaping slavery and his dream of becoming an interstellar noble were shattered. Tears streamed down his face, and he no longer had the strength to stand up. The slightly chubby Baron's face was ugly with anger, and he cursed loudly. Damn those slave traders, they said he was a 5-star transcendent genius or higher, but he's only a 2-star. What a useless piece of trash. I've been scammed. He was so furious he almost didn't want to bother with the weakened young man lying on the ground. But, after all, this was a slave he had paid for. In the end, he still had his men carry the young man away, and drag him to the back of the crowd. Although he only had a 2-star transcendent talent, with proper nurturing, this slave might still have a chance to reach level 11 in the future. His anger was mainly due to being deceived. His expectations had been too far from reality. With the young man as the start, the next participants came up one after another. Some of these people were like Lucian, invested in by powerful experts. Some were slaves like the first young man, and some were descendants of nobles, like Lanchi. Lucian was in no hurry to be tested. He watched as person after person went up. Through his observation and questions to Fair, the evaluation standards of the star chart became clear. The moment fresh blood was dripped, the level of the transcendent life physique was basically determined. White light indicated a transcendent physique. Blue light indicated a divine star physique. Golden light indicated a radiant moon physique. Red light indicated the highest level, the blazing sun physique. So far, however, apart from a few exceptions, no one who had gone up had a transcendent life physique of a different type. Most had physiques below the transcendent level. Still, a few reached the divine star level, which made many people here take a second look. Of all those tested so far, the highest was only the divine star level. Most were far from the standard, and only a very few who reached the divine star level attracted any attention. But even among them, none had caused the dean to utter the 2 words, "meet standard." Then, another person stepped up and shouted, "Move for me." Boom. The massive star chart was slowly pushed by a colossal martial avatar over 10,000 meters tall. The star chart emitted a blue light, and ring after ring lit up, finally stopping on the 7th ring. Old Mo Yun couldn't help but laugh. Out loud. Haha, a divine star transcendent physique, a 7-star divine star, meets the Academy's admission standards. A wave of murmurs swept through the field. Many eyes converged on the young man who had just finished the test. A divine star transcendent life physique, and a 7-star at that, was qualified for admission to the Favor Academy. Without a doubt, a new star would soon rise in the Yamu Star Sector. Some of the interstellar nobles present had their eyes flickering, considering how to curry favor with him and extend an olive branch. Ha ha ha, a bald, old-looking interstellar noble walked out from the crowd. He approached the young man, his face flushed with unconcealable joy. "Well done, Fei Lun. I knew I wasn't wrong about you. I promise you, from now on, no one can stop you and Lilith from being together. When we get back, I'll arrange the wedding for you two. Lilith, come to your husband." A young woman named Lilith walked towards Fei Lun, bowed her head, and said, softly, "Fei Lun, before I." But the thin-lipped young man, now the center of attention, clearly recognized his new status. His chin was slightly raised, revealing a hint of arrogance. He ignored Lilith's words and walked past her without a second glance. In contrast to the joy and excitement of the old noble, the young man was cold. "I don't think that's necessary anymore, Lord Viscount. Please tell Lilith that we are not really compatible. I will not be seeing her again in the future." The thin-lipped young man rejected the old noble's goodwill without hesitation and turned to leave. The old noble's world turned from heaven to hell in just a few short seconds. His old face contorted, and finally, he gritted his teeth and glared at the young man. Lilith was utterly confused, unable to understand what was happening. Meanwhile, Fei Lun, with his hands coolly in his pockets, continued to walk away. Tears streamed down Lilith's face as she wondered why. Why? She then turned on the old man beside her. You damned old man. It's all your fault, if it weren't for you in the first place. The helpless old man was then subjected to a barrage of attacks from the girl, from verbal abuse to physical blows. This dramatic scene was witnessed by everyone present. Bard, however, commented calmly, many have seen this so often they've become used to it. It's not strange at all. This is what you call a risky investment. Farr continued, people spend a great deal of energy and effort to cultivate a genius, and once the genius becomes famous, they turn their back on them. But this is actually a very common occurrence. I know a little about that Viscount Salai. His title has been passed down for 3 generations, and his lifespan is nearing its end. He only has one daughter. He could have his noble status revoked at any time. He has brought people to the Favor Academy's talent test twice before. The previous 2 times, he bought slaves from the market who were guaranteed to be loyal, but unfortunately, their aptitude wasn't good enough. This time, he won the bet, but unfortunately, he ended up losing everything. Farsi. So sometimes, when investing in a person, you have to look not only at their aptitude but also at their character. Lucian felt that Farr was intentionally saying these words for him to hear. He couldn't help but retort, it's obvious he treats his daughter like a commodity and a bargaining chip to gamble with. The outcome is that he loses both the person and the investment. This is perfectly normal. What does it have to do with character? So Farr, what do you think of my character? Farr looked at Lucian, thought for a moment, then his expression became excited. He threw an arm around Lucian's shoulder and said flatteringly, I feel that a person who takes the time every day to talk to his family on a low-level resource planet 500 light-years away, no matter how bad his character is, it can't be that bad. Heard this is also a traditional moral concept of your dragon country people. Haha, very good, am I right? Lucian just smiled, offering no comment. Farr's gaze shifted to the distance. Look, that's Lanchi. It's finally his turn. The real purpose of this test. Everyone else here can be considered a stepping stone for him. Lanchi quickly stepped forward. The dean of the Favor Academy, the black-robed Mo Yun, also stood up and walked towards him. Begin, Lanchi. Use your full strength. I will, Lanchi whispered, then walked to the star chart. With a determined look, his body slowly floated up until he was hovering over the star chart. He then extended a hand, made a light cut, and aimed for the center of the chart to drip his fresh blood. Everyone's eyes were glued on Lanchi. Almost everyone knew this test was opened for him. Lanchi inherited the noble bloodline of the level 13 expert, Lan Nuo. In this talent test, he wanted to once again verify his breakthroughs in talent and potential. The last time he was tested, his transcendent life physique was Radiant Moon 5-star. What level would he reach this time? Many were eagerly waiting to find out. After Lanchi's blood left his hand, it coalesced without dispersing and dripped with a soft splat onto the center of the star chart. Upon being touched by the fresh blood, the entire star chart immediately bloomed with a golden radiance. Radiant Moon. It's the Radiant Moon level. Someone below couldn't help but exclaim in shock. Although they already knew Lanchi had a Radiant Moon transcendent life physique, hearing about it and seeing it with their own eyes were 2 completely different concepts. They had seen too many transcendent and divine star level physiques. Seeing the star chart bloom with the radiance of the Radiant Moon level for the first time, many were still shaken and filled with awe. Even Dean Mo Yun had to exclaim, truly extraordinary. Dean Mo Yun and the level 12 bodyguard Lanchi had both had solemn expressions, apparently paying close attention to the subsequent developments. After dripping his blood, Lanchi took a deep breath, his expression calm. Rumble. In an instant, a large patch of purplish-red clouds appeared in the sky. The sky above the majestic stargate looked as if it had been dyed with blood, and Lanchi's body was rapidly growing larger. 10,000 meters, 20,000 meters, 30,000 meters, 50,000 meters. In just a few breaths, a martial avatar over 50,000 meters tall, emitting countless red lightning bolts, appeared. Hiss. As this martial avatar appeared, many in the field gasped. Everyone looked at this colossal and divine giant avatar with expressions of shock, letting out deep sighs of admiration. A martial avatar had actually reached a height of 50,000 meters. The crowd trembled, and their scalps went numb as they stared at the 50,000-meter tall martial avatar. But Lanchi's avatar was still expanding, reaching a staggering 80,000 meters. My god, an 80,000-meter martial avatar. Boom. Amidst the boundless golden light, the avatar stood tall, its earth-shattering pressure causing even space itself to tremble and shatter. At the 9th level of martial arts, when the avatar first takes form, a height of over 10,000 meters can be called a super-grade martial avatar. Although the avatar would continuously grow as one's understanding of their martial path deepened, and the breakthrough from level 9 to 10 would bring a significant leap, this growth had its limits. Typically, in the process from level 9 to 10, a martial avatar doubling or tripling in size was already considered excellent. In other words, A normal martial arts genius with a super great avatar would only have an avatar of 20 to 30,000 meters at level 10. For Lanchi, at level 10, to have an avatar reaching a height of 80,000 meters was truly terrifying to hear. It was unknown whether it was because his avatar's grade was too high or because it grew too much later on, but regardless of the reason, it proved that Lanchi's foundation was profound, far beyond the imagination of ordinary people. The crowd was left gaping. Is His Highness Lanchi still at level 10? How can a level 10 martial avatar reach a height of 80,000 meters? Heavens, even a level 11 expert might not be able to achieve this. The Flame Thunder martial avatar. This is the noble bloodline inheritance of Marquis Lan Nuo, the super grade Flame Thunder martial avatar. His Highness Lanchi is mighty. Lanchi has made tremendous progress. The Dean of the Favor Academy, the black-robed Elder Mo Yun, looked at Lanchi's 80,000-meter Flame Thunder avatar with undisguised admiration. It seems Lanchi is determined to break through to the Blazing Sun level this time. The red-skinned, pointy-eared man beside him said calmly, Lord Lan Nuo personally adjusted young Master Lanchi's genes. Young Master Lanchi's genetic perfection has reached a similarity of 60% compared to Lord Lan Nuo. Borrowing the power of the star chart to break through to the Blazing Sun life level is a natural progression. Mo Yun nodded without saying anything more. Fair was speechless at this moment because Lanchi was too overwhelmingly powerful. But Lucian, whom he had brought, would be even more so. The young man, Lucian, just stared intently. A moment later, Fair said, it seems Lord Lan Nuo personally adjusted his gene sequence. Lanchi's genes have reached a new level this time. Lucian asked curiously, can a transcendent physique be controlled like that? The young man imagined a very humorous image, a genetically engineered martial artist with a pointed head, somewhat resembling an acquaintance. Perhaps he should even give him some 9 dragon's power. Hearing Lucian's words, Fair, who didn't understand, asked, what do you mean? The young man didn't dare to voice his humorous thought, and just waved his hand. It's nothing. Suddenly, Fair pointed at Lanchi. Look, he's retracting his power. It seems he wants to gather all his strength to push the star chart. The star chart contains an ancient aura. In the process of pushing it, one's life potential will be greatly stimulated. If you can seize the opportunity, you really have a chance to break the genetic shackles and push your life level to a higher tier. At this moment, Lanchi's 80,000-meter avatar was rapidly shrinking to 10,000 meters. Although its size was smaller, the avatar became much more condensed. Red lightning bolts coiled around the avatar's body like coiling flood dragons. Lucian's eyes flickered as he recognized the technique Lanchi was using. He also knew this martial art's divine ability, a natural comprehension of it. It wasn't a particularly profound skill, so it wasn't strange that Lanchi could use it. Lanchi was preparing to use all his strength to push the star chart. Seeing Lanchi's immense power, the young man Lucian's face contorted as he wondered, is it really coming to the 9 dragons' power? Lucian glanced at Fair beside him and found him staring intently at Lanchi, his hands quietly clenched, looking much more nervous than the average onlooker, as if he were waiting for a lottery result to be announced. Why is he so nervous? Lucian was surprised, but then it became clear. That's right. Fair has seen my 4 extremes martial avatar of the true martial divine flame of the heavens, so he knows how majestic my avatar is. I'm even more terrifying than Lanchi. Although the size of the avatar couldn't completely represent the level of a transcendent life physique, it could still say a lot. If Lanchi could reach this height, one could imagine how high Lucian's own limit was. This was like asking for the answers after an exam. No wonder Fair was so nervous. Lanchi shrank his avatar to a height of 10,000 meters, the most suitable size for spinning the star chart. His hands, wrapped in red lightning, firmly gripped the edge of the chart, and then he twisted with great force. Boom! The massive star chart slowly began to move, much more smoothly than for anyone who had been tested before. Starting from the outermost ring, the chart lit up ring by ring. The golden light gradually intensified, illuminating the entire world in a brilliant glow. 1 ring, 2 rings, 3 rings. In just a few breaths the star chart lit up 5 rings from the outside in. The crowd held their breath, their expressions couldn't help but become a little nervous. The last time Lanchi was tested, the star chart had stopped at the Radiant Moon 5-ring level. Whether he could break his previous record and sprint to a higher life level. The answer was about to be revealed. Boom! Lanchi, his face expressionless, twisted the star chart with all his might. The 6th ring is lit, someone couldn't help but exclaim. But this seemed to be just the beginning. After the 6th ring of the star chart was lit, Lanchi continued to spin it with ease. His eyes were calm, and his hands pressed down on the edge of the chart, constantly twisting. The terrifying force created visible black cracks in the void. More and more red lightning bolts appeared on his avatar's body, each one containing a terrifying aura that could tear the sky apart. Boom! The 7th ring, the nearby crowd shouted, using their hands to shield themselves from the shockwave. 7 stars. Heavens! Lanchi's eyes grew more and more determined as he exerted all his strength. The 8th ring. The 9th ring. When Lanchi lit up the entire star chart, the spectating interstellar nobles and the geniuses participating in the test finally couldn't help but cry out. 9 stars. Radiant moon, a 9-star radiant moon. Old Mo Yun was extremely excited, repeatedly exclaiming, good, good. Not only has his bloodline reached the radiant moon level, but it's also 9 stars. Haha, it's been several thousand years since I've seen this. Fair was also full of admiration. Incredible. 9 stars can be said to have reached the limit of a transcendent physique. Fair explained, the difference between a radiant moon bloodline and a divine star bloodline is like the difference between an elephant and an ant. How can they even compete? Not to mention the 9-star gap. A 9-star radiant moon is the ultimate radiant moon level transcendent life physique. A transcendent life physique represented a miracle of life. The higher the level of the transcendent life physique, the higher the life level, the stronger the potential, and the more dominant the combat power at the same level. They also possessed all sorts of unimaginable abilities, and their immense power was awe-inspiring. An ordinary transcendent life physique could only be said to be a little stronger than others, but not by much. But it was different at the divine star level. At the same level, it was very difficult for an ordinary martial artist to contend with someone who possessed a divine star transcendent life physique. How could the huge gap in life level be compensated for? It was like an ant fighting an elephant of the same age. And the gap with a radiant moon, and a 9-star radiant moon at that, was even greater. To use an analogy, an ordinary martial artist at the same level as someone with a 9-star radiant moon transcendent life physique was like a firefly to the bright moon. Just as everyone was marveling at Lanchi's astonishing talent, Lanchi still felt it wasn't enough. Still not enough, he began to launch his final assault on the star chart. His eyes were fixed on the very center of the chart, his eyes as bright as the sun, his hands like dragons. The red lightning coiling around his avatar's body writhed and boiled even more frantically. Lanchi let out a low growl. Open for me. His hands controlled the border of the star chart, and the vast power of heaven and earth, the endless natural energy of the universe, poured into his avatar's body. Rumble, along with his voice, the void at the center of the chart shattered and quickly collapsed, forming a black hole that flashed with dark light. He had broken the limit of his combat power. Everyone's eyes widened in shock. But what was even more shocking was still to come. The star chart, which had already stopped, began to slowly move again under Lanchi's push. A majestic and ancient aura that occupied the star chart was also activated. At this moment it seemed to have broken some kind of limit, shattered some kind of shackle. Boom! A red flame suddenly erupted from the center of the star chart, a blazing fire burning dozens of meters high. This flame seemed to possess a special power. After the flame rose, the brilliant golden moonlight emanating from the star chart was quickly dyed a deep red. The entire star chart turned completely red. The red light, Lanchi's flame thunder martial avatar, and the brilliant reddish gold glow in the sky blended together, creating an incredibly shocking scene. The red lightning bolt on his forehead also seemed to have undergone a slight change. It became even more distinct, even carrying a certain translucence, revealing a magnificent and noble beauty. This was the manifestation of a bloodline physique that had undergone sublimation and transformation. In just a moment, the expressions of everyone in the field changed. Unable to contain their inner excitement and shock, they all cried out in amazement. Not only the onlookers, but even the dean of the Favor Academy, the black-robed Mo Yun, and Lanchi's middle-aged bodyguard. A strange light bloomed in their eyes. Old Mo Yun roared, "This light! Blazing sun, it's the blazing sun transcendent life physique. Lanchi has broken his own limit and reached the 1-star blazing sun." Rumble. After igniting the red flame at the center of the star chart, Lanchi had exhausted his strength. The dyed red star chart finally remained unshaken. The outermost ring of the star chart barely lit up a little before coming to a complete stop. The 10,000-meter tall avatar dissipated, and Lanchi's figure reappeared before everyone. Although Lanchi had struggled to push the star chart to the blazing sun level in the end, barely counting as a 1-star blazing sun, he had finally stepped through the door of the blazing sun level. From now on, he could be called a blazing sun transcendent life physique. The red flame at the center of the star chart, dozens of meters high, gradually weakened, but it still sent continuous shock waves through everyone. How many tens of thousands of years had it been since a blazing sun level had appeared in the Yaonu star sector? The last time the star chart was lit up by a blazing sun bloodline was a very, very long time ago. Although Lanchi wasn't officially from the Yaonu star sector, being able to witness the birth of this bloodline was still something that made people a little excited. At this time, Lanchi's face was slightly pale, obviously having consumed a great deal of energy. There was a faint look of disappointment on his handsome face, but more than that, there was joy. Lanchi panted heavily, then he couldn't stand steadily and collapsed. A guard quickly caught him. "Young master," the bodyguard beside him also had a smile on his face. "If the Marquis finds out, he will surely be very happy. You've worked hard." Lanchi was panting heavily at this time, he was out of breath. It finally succeeded. The guard broke out in a cold sweat, thinking to himself, indeed, only a strong bloodline and genes can achieve a stronger martial path. It's a pity I'm not from the family. The deep chasm of a family's foundation is truly difficult to overcome. In the field, everyone's eyes were focused on Lanchi. In their eyes, there was admiration, and also reverence. They had a deep reverence for this super life form, this top-tier bloodline. Not only had his bloodline reached its limit, but he had also broken through to the blazing sun level on the spot. Originally, Divine Star and Radiant Moon were already heaven and earth. Now, some felt they weren't lucky at all. Could they only look up to these martial artists with deep family foundations for the rest of their lives? Dean Moyun patted Lanchi on the shoulder and said with emotion, "Well done, Lanchi. Your father's wish has finally been fulfilled." It wasn't hard to predict that in a while, the noble son of heaven standing before them would surely inherit the valor of his forefathers and carry on the glory of his family even better. He had finally gotten his wish. The star chart, with no subsequent force to push it, the red flame continuously weakened and shrank. But the fluctuations that the star chart emitted when it was ignited by the red flame had already spread throughout the capital star of the Yamu star sector, and even to the 10 surrounding satellite planets. Many important figures who had never shown their faces were alarmed. The news of the appearance of a blazing sun-level genius immediately spread throughout the entire Yamu Star Sector Federation. Countless high-level officials were alarmed. Somewhere, a subordinate was reporting the information that Lanchi had achieved the blazing sun level. The person on the other end exclaimed in disbelief, "What? Blazing sun level?" At this time on the capital star of the Yamu Star Sector, in the parliament of the Yamu Star Sector Federation, an old man received the news and said excitedly, "That kid from the Marquis's family has his talent test results. Blazing sun, blazing sun." The old man shook his head. If only he were one of our star sector's people, what a pity. Start preparing the celebration for the bloodline promotion of Marquis Lan Nu's grandson, Lanchi. Suddenly, someone spoke up. "Wait a moment, Mr. Counselor." The old man was startled and said, "Huh." A blonde-haired woman, the chief enforcer of the Yamu Star Sector, who had a very large heart, said, "The test isn't over yet. Haha, I've prepared a surprise. Please take a look. I guarantee you'll be on the edge of your seat. He should be up next soon. A genius named Lucian, specially brought back from the White Fog Star Sector by my subordinate Fair. He's now one of us in the Yamu Star Sector. And from now on, he'll be mine too." Ahihi. The old man was indifferent. A genius from the White Fog Star Sector. How good can he be? The woman smiled brightly and confidently replied, "I don't know, but he definitely won't be worse than Lanchi. If Fair isn't lying, he should at least be at the blazing sun level." The old man was shocked and disbelieving upon hearing this. He immediately pressed, "What did you say? How many years has it been since a blazing sun level genius has appeared in our Yamu Star Sector? Quick, let's go to the test site immediately." At the site, Fair was communicating via his communicator. "Yes, my lord. I will arrange for Lucian to go up now." Fair hung up, his expression becoming excited and expectant. He hurriedly said to Lucian, "Quick, it's your turn, Lucian." The young man Lucian just gave a cool "aho." Everyone here had lost their excitement after Lanchi's amazing performance. Only Fair was even more excited. Why? Because he was the one who already knew the answer. Fair narrowed his eyes and laughed confidently in his heart. Everyone thinks the main actor is done, so there's nothing left to see, right? You didn't expect this, did you? I'm the one who already has the answer. Lanchi could measure a blazing sun transcendent life physique. Lucian's performance in some aspects is even more outstanding than Lanchi's. So Lucian is at least a blazing sun transcendent life physique, and in some aspects, even a level higher. A purely natural genius. He can't be compared to that artificial type. The big shots are about to arrive at the scene. Now is the best time to show off our achievements. Lucian didn't waste any words and walked straight up. This process attracted some attention, not because of him, but because of Fair. Hup. Isn't that fair? He was just ennobled less than 1,000 years ago, and he's in his prime. His barren title is as solid as a rock. Why is he here to join in the fun? Who knows? Maybe the young man he brought this time has a lot of potential. But who can compare to Lord Lanchi? Sigh. Let's disperse, let's disperse. Fair paid no attention to the small talk of the people around him. He stared intently at Lucian, with only Lucian in his eyes. Lucian, don't let me down. Lucian walked up to the star chart and carefully observed this ancient and mysterious object first. He activated his spiritual power, and tried to penetrate the star chart with it, but was surprised to find that his level 11 spiritual power couldn't penetrate it at all. There was a layer of mysterious power on the outside of the star chart that firmly blocked his spiritual power, preventing it from entering. The young man muttered, "Spiritual power can't penetrate to peek inside. There's a layer of mysterious power blocking my spiritual power." Lucian didn't continue and flew up above the star chart, using his finger to cut open his right palm. Lucian said decisively, "All right, there's nothing worth studying. Since I'm already here, I'll see it through to the end." Spiritual power diffused, and a stream of reddish gold blood immediately flowed out. The moment the blood flowed out, the surrounding temperature rose slightly, and the air seemed to distort a little. But this anomaly didn't attract too much attention from the crowd. Only a few people looked at Lucian with some surprise. The vast majority were still preoccupied with their own affairs, either talking about Lanchi, instructing the geniuses under their command, or exchanging information with others. The attention on Lucian was so minimal that it was as if no one saw him. The reddish gold blood gently fell onto the star chart, exploding into a small, reddish gold flower of blood. Far, who had been staring at Lucian, noticed something was amiss. He wondered to himself, just now, in that flower of blood, it seemed as if the shadow of a tiny three-legged golden crow flew out. Then, the center of the massive star chart let out a loud rumble, and erupted with a blazing red pillar of fire. The pillar of fire was thousands of meters high, its light illuminating everything around, shining on each and every unsuspecting face. In an instant, everyone in the area, including Lanchi, Milton, and the bald middle-aged man who were talking softly to each other, stopped. Time seemed to freeze. No one had expected that the star chart would be silently ignited, and a blazing starfire thousands of meters high would illuminate this patch of the cosmos. The deep red flame was beautiful, 100 times more brilliant than the one Lanchi had just ignited. This sudden turn of events dropped into everyone's line of sight. One person, unable to believe his eyes, let out a whoa. Farah's body trembled, his fists clenched tightly. Although his face showed no expression, the void around him quickly collapsed, revealing how agitated he was. Blazing sun level. It's really the blazing sun level. And it's not an ordinary blazing sun level, but one that far surpasses Lanchi's. Although Farah's expectations for Lucian were already very high, when that thousands of meters high pillar of fire truly appeared before him, he still couldn't stop an indescribable excitement from welling up in his heart. It's a blazing sun level that far surpasses Lanchi's. Aha, I've hit the jackpot. This time, I've truly won the grand prize of the interstellar lottery. At this time, the crowd also slowly turned their heads, their faces filled with deep bewilderment and shock. They couldn't react in time, their brains unable to fully process the reality before them. Only confusion and astonishment occupied their minds. What is this? What just happened? Who is this person? The few who had been paying attention to Lucian's test from the beginning now had their eyes wide and their mouths agape, as if they had been punched hard in the head, their brains shaken. Even Lanchi and Milton stared blankly at the brilliant starfire, unsure of what expression to make. A cold sweat broke out on Lanchi's forehead as he wondered, what kind of strength can erupt with this kind of starlight? Old Milton also stammered, incredible. This young man is truly incredible. He also reached the blazing sun level. The young man, Lucian, however, still had a cold expression as he muttered, blazing sun. At this moment, Lucian had no time to pay attention to others' reactions. For him, this test had just begun. He took a deep breath, and in an instant, the cosmic energy and the power of heaven and earth in the surrounding space were almost completely sucked dry by him. But the young man still felt it wasn't enough, muttering, it's probably still not enough. Countless points of light converged towards him, quickly enveloping him. The young man focused his power on the star chart before him, his eyes extremely cold. Lucian said decisively, I'm not satisfied with this little achievement. The young man continued to shout and exert his strength. Lucian used all his power, cosmic energy, the power of heaven and earth, a roiling sea of blood and fire, and from its depths flocks of three-legged golden crows with piercing cries rushed out like a fiery tide. At the same time, a colossal, blood-red pressure didn't just radiate, but exploded, submerging everything. The spectating crowd felt their scalps go numb, their souls as if being squeezed by an invisible hand. A terrified scream rang out, the voice breaking from extreme horror. This power. Look, space, the space around him is being distorted and twisted. Suddenly someone pointed to the sky, their voice urgent. Up there, look up there. What is that? On that day, many people present understood. Then, a boundlessly majestic and colossal martial avatar that touched the heavens and stood on the earth suddenly emerged from the ground, its giant feet stepping down. The four extremes martial avatar of the true martial divine flame of the heavens. Lucian's avatar had divine stars as its body, golden crows as its eyes, the four symbols as its robes, the constellations as its cloak, and a black serpent as its belt. It stood a towering 160,000 meters high. Whoa, it's huge. The crowd instinctively looked up, straining to see the giant that seemed to have walked out of a myth. This massive impact finally pulled them out of their initial shock and back to reality. A series of sharp gasps rang out, and the bewilderment on their faces was finally replaced by a delayed shock. They were incomparably shaken, their perception shattered. Now they understood the chasm of talent that could never be crossed in a lifetime. Forget those who didn't know Lucian, even Farah couldn't believe it. How can this be? A 150,000 meter avatar. Everyone was stunned by the 160,000-meter-tall giant avatar before them. Twice the size of my super-grade Flame Thunder Martial avatar, the height of this avatar was half again as tall as the one in Fair's memory. The last time he saw Lucian's avatar, it was only 100,000 meters. How long had it been? And it had already grown by 60,000 meters. And his aura was still only at level 9. What kind of progress was this? Is this kid even human? For the others, the feeling was even more of a shock. Old Mo Yun's legs trembled so much he couldn't stand. He fell backward, repeatedly crying out, so many strange phenomena. And he's only at level 9, how can this be? Could he be? Incredibly powerful golden streams of energy radiated from around Lucian. The young man, while mobilizing the power of heaven and earth with one hand, muttered, the avatar is too big, on the contrary. It's not easy to control. Concentrating all the power into the body is a better choice. Lucian didn't leave the crowd much time to be shocked. He used his divine ability to quickly shrink the 160,000-meter avatar. It continuously condensed and solidified, finally shrinking to only 10,000 meters. But its entire body was brilliantly dazzling, every detail on it condensed as if it were real. Lucian had been observing for a long time, so he had long since figured out that a 10,000-meter avatar was the best size for spinning the star chart. Then, let's continue. When the avatar condensed to a height of 10,000 meters, Lucian also felt his entire body become much more solid. He was in a great state. He reached out a hand, placed it on the edge of the faintly glowing red star chart, and, following the clockwise direction, gave it a fierce spin. Move for me. The young man gritted his teeth and used all his strength. Everyone here witnessed a scene they could never have imagined. Before, even Lanchi could only spin the star chart smoothly. But now, the star chart was being spun very quickly by Lucian. Rumble, the star chart began to spin rapidly on its own. Buzz, everyone's minds immediately went blank. There was only one sound roaring in their heads. Lanchi, just by looking, coughed up a mouthful of fresh blood, unable to stand steady. The guard immediately supported him and asked, young master, are you all right? Lanchi, still in disbelief at this point, roared, how can this be? How can this be? He roared like a madman. A chill went down the guard's spine as he thought, even young Master Lanchi had to use all his strength with both hands to push the star chart. This guy is spinning it with one hand like it's a tire. Is this reasonable? Is this scientific? Is this realistic? Where am I? Who am I? Is this still the Yanu star sector? Damn it, how terrifying must this person's strength be to be able to do this so easily? The star chart rumbled as it spun under everyone's shocked and trembling gazes. A ring began to light up on the chart. The red light continuously bloomed, filling the entire chart. It felt as if the entire star chart was on fire. 1 ring, 2 rings, 3 rings. Until all 9 rings of the star chart were lit up, as if it had reached a peak and gotten stuck. The continuously spinning star chart then stopped, unmoving. 9 rings of the star chart, a pillar of fire thousands of meters high burning fiercely, a brilliant red light shining to the extreme. The dazzling light made everyone dazed, unable to believe their own eyes, wondering if they were dreaming. The observer on a super-large spaceship also couldn't help but shout in excitement. The chief enforcer of the Yamu Star sector, observing from afar, felt that this power was simply indescribable. The old counselor of the Yamu Star sector was also left gaping. The female chief enforcer muttered, I originally thought Fair had only found someone with outstanding talent. I didn't expect him to be a prodigy as dazzling as the sun. The old man beside her continuously exclaimed, Ein Star Blazing Sun. No, the ultimate blazing sun, and it even surpasses the ultimate. Ha 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 ha, the impatient old man immediately ordered his subordinates, quick, speed up the spaceship. I want to meet that genius right away, full speed ahead. As you command. Lucian stared at the star chart before him, his eyes flickering slightly. Just a 9-star blazing sun. What's above the blazing sun? Fair didn't tell me. I'm a little curious. Let's try it first. I have to be careful not to break this star chart. I hope I don't break it. Thinking this, Lucian still couldn't suppress the curiosity in his heart. He gently placed his hands on the stationary star chart. Hold on for me. The Divine Illumination King Sutra was fully activated. Blood and Kai buff, at it for me. This time, he used both hands, preparing to give this star chart a full strength swing. Boom. The divine fire of 100,000 immortal cells burned even brighter, doubling in intensity. The mysterious and complex star chart of the sun god domain shone brightly. In Lucian's chest, it was as if 100,000 three-legged golden crows were craning their necks, crying out, flapping their wings, and roaring. Lucian poured this immense power into his 2 hands and tried to spin the star chart. Lanchi went from one surprise to another. Once again, he was in disbelief. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Even in the main area of the Serpent Galaxy, there aren't many who have surpassed the blazing sun level. On what basis can he do this? The guard beside him also roared, 9-star blazing sun. No, the ultimate blazing sun is not enough. What's above the ultimate blazing sun is not so easy to achieve. He couldn't help but feel that he was a bit too. He had originally intended to say something like overestimating his own strength, but the words died on his lips. Regardless of whether Lucian could break through past the blazing sun level, the talent he had already displayed was no longer something that anyone could comment on arrogantly. Creak, creak. It was as if Lucian could hear the sound of the mechanisms inside the star chart grinding against each other. At this moment, the star chart gave Lucian the feeling of a turntable that had been spun to its limit. The path ahead was at an end. It was no longer possible to spin it. Lucian wondered, but is that really the case? Let's see after I really break it. The more the star chart didn't move, the more Lucian wanted to try with more force. He still had strength left to spare. He felt that his supreme stellar body was not just a 9-star blazing sun. His level 11 spiritual power was suddenly released, merging into his martial body. Creak, creak. The obscure sound from the star chart became clearer, but it remained as silent as before. If it's not enough, then I'll just try a little harder. Seeing the unmoving star chart, an inexplicable arrogance rose in Lucian's heart. He took a deep breath. The four extremes martial avatar of the true martial divine flame of the heavens, which had already condensed to 10,000 meters, at this moment, continued to shrink. In the time of a single breath, it all merged into Lucian's body. Avatar, martial body, spiritual power, the three completely became one. Shen's entire body was as if it were about to ignite. Magnificent and brilliant golden patterns appeared from within his body, spreading all over him. At his glabella, they formed a noble and mysterious pattern, making him look like an innate divine being from ancient mythology. Within his body, 100,000 immortal cells burned crazily. Under this oppressive resistance, they were crazily crushed, unearthing their own potential. The 100,000 immortal cells once again entered a state of high-speed evolution and transformation. The golden light became even more dazzling, appearing between his eyebrows, like the third eye of a deity. The first immortal cells to be born were even vaguely touching a higher level. Especially the first immortal cell that Lucian had cultivated, located in the divine palace of his glabella, it became even more brilliant. It even appeared between Lucian's eyebrows, radiating a dazzling golden light like the third eye of a deity. Lucian's entire body completely transformed into a blazing star, and waves of heat swept out in all directions. After a gray ripple appeared in Lucian's eyes, the scorching aura was all withdrawn, becoming extremely introverted. The star had turned into a black hole. Creak, creak. This time, as Lucian exerted his strength, he finally felt the star chart showing signs of loosening. His eyes lit up. It was as if he saw a giant door before him. He just needed one more step to break through. Move for me. The signs of the star chart's movement became clearer. The red light on the chart bloomed to its extreme, as if it were directly igniting, scorching hot to the touch. Lucian shouted, "Move faster." The edge of the star chart, for some unknown reason, became extremely sharp, cutting open Lucian's palms. Drops of reddish gold blood flowed out, continuously seeping into the star chart along its patterns. Lucian, however, seemed completely unaware. The combat suit on Lucian was torn and melted by the terrifying heat wave, revealing a perfect martial body, as if crafted by the heavens. The divine eye on his forehead shone to its utmost brilliance. Magnificent and beautiful patterns spread across his body. Lucian, his hands stained with blood, raised his head, his black hair like a waterfall dancing wildly. His hands were like dragons. He let out a long laugh. "Haha, my clothes are torn to shreds, and you still won't spin faster for me." Keep moving. Faster. Lucian poured all his strength into the star chart. The young man used so much force that the ground beneath his feet shattered. The next second, the massive star chart rumbled and moved. A peculiar vibration, carried by the slight movement, suddenly spread out in all directions, crossing an unknown number of light years in an instant. The red starfire at the center of the star chart also exploded with a boom, completely transforming into a pillar of light that pierced through heaven and earth, shooting straight into the sky. The color of the pillar of fire also quietly changed into a glorious gold. The splendid, magnificent golden pillar of fire pierced through the star gate, broke through the heavens, and drew an incredibly brilliant mark across the dark sky. The massive star chart was covered in a thick golden collar, its ring slowly rotating, seemingly never to stop. During this process, that peculiar wave-like vibration continuously spread out in all directions like a tide. The peculiar vibration formed ripples visible to the naked eye in the void. At the same time, in the West family's Count's mansion, the handsome, blonde young man Milton was slowly looking at the news on the internet, his face extremely ugly. The news of him riding a 150-year-old sow had spread like wildfire. He angrily smashed his phone on the ground, shattering it. Just as Milton was about to curse some more, he was suddenly swept by an invisible ripple, and his heart trembled for some unknown reason. He looked up. The curtains on the window before him parted on their own, and a golden pillar of light that pierced through heaven and earth struck his eyes. Milton stared blankly at the pillar of light and whispered, "What?" What is that? At the same time, in a luxurious private mansion on some planet, Qiao Qiao was hugging an adorable interstellar doll. She was telling her best friend on her communicator that her pet Poppy was missing and she was very upset. Suddenly, she was swept by the invisible ripple, and was slightly stunned. She hurriedly looked out the window, her small mouth slightly agape, momentarily forgetting her words. A moment later, she managed to stammer out 2 words. The range of the invisible ripple's spread was much larger than anyone had imagined. In the dark and silent cosmos, it crossed an unknown number of light years, sweeping over an unknown number of life-bearing planets. Whether it was a prosperous and advanced high-level civilization planet, a wild and backward low-level civilization planet, or a quiet, uninhabited garden planet, throughout the entire Yamu star sector, almost every planet, every life form, felt an incomprehensible tremor in their hearts as they were swept by the invisible ripple. A trace of joy and excitement, born from an unknown source, rose from the bottom of their hearts. Joy from the bottom of their hearts. Even if they had been extremely sad a moment before, the next moment they were moved to tears. The vast majority of people didn't know why, but they could clearly feel that this part of the cosmos they inhabited was cheering, celebrating, and praising the appearance and birth of a great existence. The cosmos sang, a chorus of joy. A blessing from the cosmos. And on the capital star of the Yamu star sector, an even grander and more magnificent phenomenon was occurring. The Yamu capital star was very large, surrounded by 9 planetary rings. Each of the small planets began to glow, like light bulbs being lit up. The brilliant halo started from the outermost ring and then quickly spread inward. This was like lighting up the star chart during a transcendent life physique test, only this time, it lit up an entire region of the cosmos. This incredibly moving and magnificent phenomenon amazed everyone on the Yamu capital star. The people at the center had a full view of this miraculous scene. The spreading power of heaven and earth swept past each and every spaceship rushing towards this side. The speed of the spaceships swept by the ripples silently slowed down, and the important figures sitting in the spaceships trembled slightly involuntarily. They looked up at the extremely conspicuous golden pillar of light in the distance, and an expression of disbelief slowly appeared on their faces. In a certain spaceship belonging to the law enforcement department of the Yamu star sector, the chief enforcer of the Yamu star sector couldn't contain the mad joy and excitement in her heart. The female chief enforcer of the Yamu star sector exclaimed, "Immortal! An immortal level bloodline! An immortal level bloodline has been born in my Yamu star sector. Heavens!" The old man in the spaceship above the city of the Yamu capital star, not far from the Favor Academy's test site, was the speaker of the Yamu star sector Federation Parliament. At this moment, he was enveloped by a tremendous emotion. He looked at the golden pillar of fire in the distance, his eyes slowly sweeping over the surrounding cosmos that was being brilliantly illuminated. His level 12 body trembled slightly, and he almost wanted to cry, his expression a little dazed. Then, the old man burst into loud laughter. "Ha ha, immortal level. It's the immortal level." Boom. The old man threw a punch, directly shattering the door of the unmanned spaceship's cabin. He ignored the piercing alarm and suddenly rushed out of the spaceship. His eyes were directed towards the vast cosmos, and the joy in his heart turned into a long laugh. "My Yamu star sector is about to reappear with supreme glory. Immortal level, haha." The old man's laughter echoed in the cosmos. And the many onlookers in front of the Favor Academy were at this moment experiencing an indescribable shock in their hearts. Everyone looked at the figure standing straight between the star gate and the star chart, covered in golden light. He was infinitely handsome, boundlessly majestic, like a god of the cosmos. The power of the entire cosmos was centered on him, slowly revolving around him. The 9 planetary rings had been lit up. Lanchi and the middle-aged guard had long since lost the ability to speak, and their previous arrogant expressions. The black-robed elder, Mo Yun on the other hand, had a radiant expression he had never shown before, his heart filled with incomparable joy. Great power. This is the supreme great power. How many tens of thousands of years has it been? The power of this entire region of the cosmos is revolving around him. In the minds of old Mo Yun and the others present, an ancient maxim related to the star chart, which had been passed down for an unknown number of tens of thousands of years, couldn't help but appear. The ancient maxim of the star chart. I remember it now. Lanchi also asked with great curiosity, "What you're saying, could it be?" Old Mo Yun said, "When the legendary immortal bloodline descends, the center of the star chart will ignite a light that shakes the cosmos, and an unimaginable phenomenon will appear. The entire cosmos will celebrate it. Now, this maxim has become a reality. Everything in the legend has happened right before our eyes." Old Mo Yun pointed at Lucian's figure. "I have seen with my own eyes what level is above the blazing sun, that is. Immortal bloodline. The supreme immortal bloodline. In this incomparably magnificent and beautiful phenomenon, time seemed to be stretched to its longest, and it seemed as if one could hear the sound of the planets revolving. Under this vibration, everything seemed quiet and beautiful. Lucian stood on the star chart, seemingly oblivious to the gazes of the crowd below. He looked at the 9 planetary rings that had been completely lit up in the distance in extremely brilliant, magnificent, and shocking scene. Suddenly, a thought moved in his heart. His body quickly flew up to a suitable height and position. He took out the communicator from his spatial storage bracelet. First, a selfie. The young man took several selfies, then sent the pictures. Lucian smiled as he typed into his communicator, "Isn't it beautiful, my little wife? I did this. Today will definitely be remembered by countless people, unforgettable for a lifetime. Because today, the cosmos blesses, and the immortal bloodline appears." At this moment, in a very distant part of the cosmos, an unknown number of tens of thousands of light years away, someone was watching everything that had just happened. In a region of stars that was brilliant to the extreme, in a certain grand hall on a certain planet, a man wore a long robe, on which countless stars flickered and danced. He woke up from his slumber on the star throne. He seemed to have suddenly sensed something and quickly looked up. He stared in a certain direction for a long time, his eyes as deep as if they could penetrate through layers of the void, crossing an endless distance. He saw a figure as brilliant and dazzling as a star. A look of surprise and joy appeared on this young man's face as he said with a smile, "Oh, another immortal bloodline has appeared. Good. It seems our Serpent Galaxy will welcome an unprecedented trend of great prosperity in this era." Haha. As this thought moved in the robed man's mind, he was about to give some orders, but on second thought, he changed his mind. Forget it. That kid's strength is still too low. If I go now, he'll be at risk of dying young. It's better to let him temper himself down there for a while and grow. It won't be too late to summon him then. The more the robed man thought about it, the more it made sense. With a smile on his face, he casually closed his eyes and continued to sleep. The phenomenon in the Yamu star sector lasted for a very long time. When some people slowly recovered from their shock, they also remembered the purpose of their trip. They went to the Favor Academy, and when they rushed to the test site, they found that Lucian had already been taken away by someone else. Several of them exclaimed in frustration, "Damn it, the monstrous genius who just caused a huge commotion in the cosmos. We don't even know his name and identity." Another said with regret, "I must find him. I must find him. As long as he's willing to marry into my family, not only can I marry my daughter to him, but even if I just latch onto a strand of his leg hair, my family will prosper forever." He was imagining a very bright future. In a certain level 13 spaceship, even Fair, who had brought Lucian to the Favor Academy for the test, had yet to react. Fair sat upright in his chair, his hands on his knees. Only heaven knew what kind of excitement Fair was going through at this moment. At this moment, Fair's whole body was trembling, his scalp numb. Damn it, he repeated these 2 words 1,000 times. Fair asked himself in disbelief, what kind of monster is this? He looked at Lucian and whispered, "I knew Lucian was outstanding, but I didn't expect him to be this outstanding." The cosmos celebrating together. Damn it, I've never heard of it before. The prophesied Son of God. Did I find the Son of God? Lucian heard Fair's whispers and replied, "Actually." Lucian crossed his arms and confidently declared what just happened was the limit of the star chart, not my limit. That star chart is trash, it reached its limit with just a little push. Hearing this, Fair was struck by lightning. He could only utter 2 words, "What?" Afterward, Fair and Lucian went to the Supreme Parliament of the Yamu Star Sector Federation. The 2 quickly entered. The old man from the Parliament and the female chief enforcer personally came out to greet Lucian. The old man cheerfully initiated the conversation, "You're here, you're here." The old man was extremely excited. "Welcome, welcome." A hero emerges from the youth. The old man stood before him, looking at Lucian with a complex mix of emotion, admiration, and joy. Right now, every one of Fair's trillions of cells was still overflowing with excitement and frantic joy. Immortal level. Lucian actually possessed an immortal level transcendent life physique. And this immortal level transcendent life form was brought back by him from the White Fog Star Sector. Haha. Fair wanted to scream wildly, to run and jump around to vent the joy in his heart. Fair thought to himself joyfully, in everyone's life, there will surely be 1 or 2 times when they are favored by the God of Luck. What we need to do is to firmly grasp the hand of the God of Luck when it reaches out. This was something his grandmother had told him when he was a child, many years ago. Now, Fair wanted to shout, "Dearest grandmother, this time I not only firmly grasped the hand of the God of Luck, but I also gave it a big, tight hug. Lucian is the greatest luck of my life. Even winning the grand prize of the interstellar lottery wouldn't compare to 1/10,000th of this." The old man was so happy he forgot his manners. I forgot to introduce myself. I am the Speaker of the Yamu Star Sector Federation's lower parliament, Den Luopo, or by my international name, Pavlov Sebastian. Speaker. Lucian's eyes flickered. He finally knew the other party's identity. The Speaker of the Yamu Star Sector Federation's parliament. It could be said that this was one of the highest-ranking individuals in the Yamu Star Sector, and the place Lucian was standing now was the main gate of the Yamu Star Sector Parliament. The old man pointed to the voluptuous woman beside him. This is the Yamu Star Sector's chief enforcer, Sizia. She placed a hand on her ample chest and said cheerfully, "It is a great honor to meet you. Lucian, the strongest man on the Azure Star, and in the future, the strongest man in the universe." Of course, this last part was added by Lucian in his own mind. Deng Luopu said with some emotion, "After tonight, this name will likely spread throughout the entire Yamu Star Sector. And in the future, the entire Yamu Star Sector, as well as the several surrounding major star sectors, will all be shaken by these two words." Lucian said mostly, "Speaker Deng is too kind." The female chief enforcer shook her head and said seriously, "With our Yamu Star Sector as the center, radiating outwards, there are a total of 13 star sectors. Since the founding of the Federation until now, nearly 1,000,000 years, across trillions of life-bearing planets, an immortal-level transcendent life physique has never appeared." The female chief enforcer looked directly into Lu Shen's eyes and said seriously, word for word, without any exaggeration, "Lu Shen, you are the #1 genius of this region of the cosmos in the past 1,000,000 years. A genius unprecedented in history." Lu Shen slowly pondered. 13 star sectors, trillions of life planets, the number of individual life forms in that must be at least in the trillions, but only I have appeared with an immortal-level transcendent physique. Lu Shen was very surprised, but he quickly felt at ease. Well, that makes sense. After all, my supreme stellar body is aimed directly at level 15, even 16. How many level 15 or 16 experts can there be in a single star field? Becoming the only one in 1,000,000 years across more than 10 star sectors is reasonable. Since I'm so awesome, can I ask Deng Luopu for more benefits later? Lu Shen secretly considered in his heart. Deng Luopu continued. Normally, if an immortal level is born in a star sector, the ruling star system will definitely send someone to inspect. You will probably have the opportunity to join under that person and receive the inheritance of the system's ruler. When Deng Luopu said this, a trace of envy that was hard to detect appeared in his eyes. Immediately after, Deng Luopu affirmed, "Before the ruling star system sends someone, our Yamu Star Sector will fully support your cultivation." "Oh, full support." Lu Shen repeated to confirm. Of course Deng Luopu nodded. "Although you are at the immortal level, you are only at level 9 now. The resources of our entire star sector should be enough to supply you alone." Lu Shen probed, "So, does that mean I can make any request I want?" Hearing this, Deng Luopu hesitated slightly, not knowing what this young man would ask for. Deng Luopu thought for a moment and said, "You can tell me first. Whatever can be done, we will definitely do our best, even if you need." The old man thought to himself, "Oh no, is he going to ask for the moon?" Deng Luopu didn't dare to make too firm a promise. If Lu Shen made an unreasonable request that he couldn't fulfill, but it would be awkward to refuse, that wouldn't be good. Lu Shen immediately waved his hand and said frankly, "It's not cultivation resources. What I need is a life planet large enough to settle my compatriots from my home planet." The old man was shocked to hear this. He exclaimed in great surprise this. Far standing beside him, called out to Lu Shen. He's still so concerned about that backward home planet. Fair thought, perhaps this is the reason why Lu Shen can be so outstanding. The unique education system of the Dragon Country is truly a mysterious nation. The universe has no day or night, but a habit that has lasted for 1,000,000 years makes the human race still use a similar method of measuring time. In the universe, 1 unit of time is roughly 3 days on the Azure Star. The ratio is not too exaggerated. At this time, the people preparing for the evening banquet were extremely busy. "Hurry up, the banquet is about to start." A time day was about to end. On the Yamu capital star, a very large evening banquet was being prepared and was about to begin. This could be considered one of the largest collective banquets ever held on the Yamu capital star. Many interstellar nobles, even those many light years away, rushed from their territories after hearing the news. There was no other way. The news coming from the Yamu capital star was too shocking, so shocking that the vast majority of people who heard it for the first time would think they had misheard. An immortal-level transcendent life physique had never appeared in the Yamu Star Sector in millions of years. If it weren't for the huge, invisible wave that had spread throughout the entire Yamu Star Sector before, no one would have dared to believe in the birth of an immortal level. Now, countless spaceships were shuttling between the 10 satellite planets of the capital star system. The massive Yamu capital star was brightly lit. Countless spaceships flew back and forth between the capital star and its 10 satellites, forming a spectacular scene of bustling traffic, a cosmic version of a busy metropolis, all just to catch a glimpse of the person who had created this miraculous scene. At the banquet hall, a man and a woman entered. Their appearance and temperament were both outstanding, their clothes magnificent. Their golden and red hair further highlighted their noble status. These were the descendants of the interstellar noble, Count West, Milton and Cao Cao. There are so many people, Cao Cao, dressed splendidly today, perfectly displayed the elegance and beauty of a noble count's daughter. Milton, however, was in much worse shape. Mainly because during this period, He had been exhausted by all sorts of rumors online, tired beyond measure, and lacked spirit in everything he did. This was a huge contrast to his confident, leisurely, and in control demeanor of the past. Milton told Cao Qiao, the first immortal level in the history of the Yamustar sector. This news hasn't completely spread yet. If it's given more time, the scale could be 100 times larger. It's very possible the entire Yamustar sector wouldn't be able to contain it. Milton slightly reined in his emotions. He intended to use this banquet to pull himself together. Milton casually explained to Cao Qiao. Cao Qiao stuck out her tongue slightly. Although she didn't understand much about martial arts cultivation, the grand spectacle of the entire capital star being lit up in broad daylight was unfolding before her eyes. Such a miracle, created by a single immortal-level physique, how could it not startle her? Milton seriously instructed Cao Qiao, when that person appears, you must do everything you can to win his friendship. Cao Qiao was startled. Me? Will that great person even notice me? Milton pulled Cao Qiao's hand. He whispered, you must succeed. With your beauty, unless that immortal-level genius doesn't like women. He was still very confident in his little sister Cao Qiao's beauty and charm. All right. Seeing Milton's seriousness, Cao Qiao had no choice but to agree to his instructions. Milton, confident, subconsciously touched his own rear end, a perverted thought naturally occurring to him. If he doesn't like women, that's fine too. I will serve him wholeheartedly. Milton and Cao Qiao slowly walked into the evening banquet. Their status and appearance, even in a place where nobles gathered, were still a bit dazzling. As soon as they entered, a young interstellar noble enthusiastically greeted them. Oh, isn't this our uniquely tasted pig riding night, Hinton? The person next to him added, have you done that today? Pig riding night. Pig riding night. As soon as these words came out, pairs of eyes in the field immediately turned to look. I know about that, the pig riding night. Ha ha ha, the god of war who was ruthless to a 150-year-old pig. Milton's handsome face immediately turned as black as the bottom of a pot. He was furious. Ha ha ha. Soft laughter rang out from all around, and strange gazes fell on Milton. His face turned pale. Since the incident of being avenged by some random person, Milton's reputation in the interstellar noble circle of the Yamustar sector had completely rotted. Although he had long since found the surveillance footage from the law enforcement department, confirmed the truth of the matter, and proved his innocence, the ridiculous story of him raping a 150-year-old sow had already spread. Many people didn't care about the truth at all, they just found it amusing. After all, the mud had already been slung onto Milton's pants. Even if it wasn't crap, it was treated as crap. Some interstellar nobles who were usually at odds with Milton even gave him nicknames. Like Pig Riding Knight and 150-year-old God of War Vis, Old Sow. Even the honor of the West family was affected. Count West was furious. If it weren't for this banquet, who knows how long Milton would have been grounded. Milton was a count's son. Originally, in the circle of the rich and handsome, he was considered the noblest of the noble. He was the Prince Charming in the eyes of countless noble young ladies. But now, he had the title of Pig Riding Knight over his head. Everywhere he went, he received strange looks. The noble young ladies who admired him now avoided him like the plague, afraid of being associated with him. Milton's face was ugly as he looked at the few people who were taunting him, quickly approaching. He took a deep breath, suppressed the anger in his heart, and wanted to call Cao Qiao to leave. Where are you? But when Milton turned around, Cao Qiao had long since run off to who knows where, looking around with a pretense of not knowing him. Milton was speechless. Even my own sister despises me. Milton's heart grew even more gloomy. Damn it, if emotions could be quantified, a continuous stream of negative emotion one notifications would probably be appearing over his head right now. His entire body was radiating a thick black aura. Milton fiercely clenched his fists, gritting his teeth. Right now, the thing he wanted to do most was to find the person who had avenged himself on him, and make him loudly declare in front of everyone in the Yamustar sector that Milton did not have a special hobby and was not a pig riding knight. In a corner of the banquet, two people were enjoying themselves immensely. He spread the word about Milton even more. He's finished. Only his sister Cao Qiao might be a competitor for us. The person next to him asked, is this matter really true or false? The other replied, I don't care if it's true or false. If it benefits us, then it's true. Milton was rushing off when he suddenly looked up. He saw a handsome and cold young man with a red lightning bolt mark on his forehead walking in from outside. That's His Highness Lanchi. Milton's eyes lit up, and his spirits immediately soared. Even if he couldn't befriend that great person, befriending Lanchi was also a very good choice. Now was the chance. The key now was to find his sister. Milton had brought Cao Qiao to the banquet, guessing that Lanchi might have a deeper impression of him. If Lanchi could take a liking to Cao Qiao, that would be even better. Milton hurriedly searched everywhere for Cao Qiao's figure. He quickly found her in a corner, and then his face quickly darkened. Found her. Who is she talking so happily with? After a closer look, Milton recognized that Qiao was talking to Lucian. Milton was furious. Damn it, it's that lower-class life form. You reckless fool, how dare you continue to speak with Qiao? Milton slammed the wine glass in his hand onto the dining table, his face dark as he walked towards her. He saw Qiao talking happily with a handsome young man, a radiant smile on her face. That bastard. The key is that this is the same young man Milton had already warned once before. Milton gritted his teeth, his hateful gaze fixed on Lucian. You reckless thing, how dare you still cling to her on such an important occasion? Milton quickly walked over to the two of them and called out, Qiao. Qiao turned her head, and upon seeing Milton, she immediately smiled and introduced them. Brother, look who I ran into. It's Lucian, he's here too. Oh, is that so? Milton's bullet-like gaze landed on Lucian. He saw Lucian looking at him calmly, with no sign of the expected deference. Seeing this, Milton's anger flared even more. A glint of hostility flashed in his eyes, and he suddenly took 2 steps forward, approaching Lucian, and said in an icy tone, Did you sneak in here relying on fair? It seems you didn't take my previous warning to heart at all. Milton took a light breath, his expression cold. Then I'll repeat myself now, one last time. Get the hell out of here, now, don't let me see you in front of Qiao again. Otherwise you and your insignificant homeplanet, so you're here. Milton's threat was cut short by an excited voice from behind him. The sudden sound stunned him. He instinctively turned around, and when he clearly saw the person who had just spoken, his pupils contracted violently. Your Highness Lanchi. Milton was both overjoyed and terrified. Was he just talking to me? Did he come looking for me? The words "so, you're here" echoed in Milton's mind. From the meaning in Lanchi's words, it seemed he had specifically come to find him. Although he didn't know why, at this moment, Milton couldn't be bothered to threaten Lucian anymore. My sincerest apologies, I was just about to find you, Your Highness. I didn't expect you to arrive first. Milton puffed out his chest, a smile blooming on his face, once again finding his composure as the son of a count, an elite interstellar noble. He proactively extended his hand to Lanchi, smiling in welcome. A.M. Milton West. In his mind, Milton had already planned how he would chat with Lanchi next, then introduce his sister, and then find an opportunity to give Lanchi the spaceship control key he had prepared. But Lanchi's next words made both his outstretched hand and the smile on his face freeze. Lanchi glanced at Milton and asked with a frown, Who are you? Why are you blocking my way? Who are you? Milton's face was one of stunned disbelief. Your Highness wasn't looking for me. Get out of the way, don't stop me from speaking with this gentleman. Lanchi didn't elaborate, just coldly waved his hand, pushing Milton aside. He walked straight past him and stood before Lucian. Milton didn't even have time to react. He let out a cry and then found himself tumbling face first onto the floor. A pained yelp was heard as Lanchi quickly approached Lucian, placed a hand on his chest in a salute, and said, Your Highness Lucian, your immortal level bloodline is an extremely rare existence even in the capital star region of the Serpent Galaxy. Lanchi spoke with a complex tone, then formally presented Lucian with a golden card, saying solemnly, I believe the Yamu star sector will not be able to contain you for long. When your Highness arrives at the capital star region, I hope you will be a guest at our land family. After speaking, Lanchi added, This is a formal invitation that I extend to your Highness on behalf of my father, Marquis Lan Muo. Boom. Lanchi was a major figure on the Yamu capital star. Since his appearance, he had been the center of the banquet, with countless eyes following him. His approach to Milton had already attracted a great deal of silent attention. Then, to say such words in front of Lucian, it immediately caused the entire banquet to erupt. It was no less than a nuclear bomb being dropped into the crowd, setting off waves of commotion. In an instant, countless gazes converged on Lucian. Immortal level bloodline, that young man is the legendary immortal level, so, after all this searching, it's such an unremarkable young man. So the person with the immortal level transcendent life physique that we've been speculating about, searching for, and trying so hard to get even a sliver of information on, is this person right in front of us? Even Lanchi wants to officially recruit Lucian on behalf of his family, and even addresses him as Your Highness. What could be more convincing than this? We must also befriend that great person, Your Highness Lucian. In a flash, the entire banquet was in an uproar. Countless interstellar nobles pushed and shoved their way over. Lucian, holding the card, still didn't understand what was happening. Before he could even understand, the crowd had already lifted him into the air, shouting, Please come to our family, please be a guest at my home, please come to our clan. And our poor little piglet, Milton, was completely petrified on the spot. He stared blankly at the handsome, calm young man before him. His mind felt as if it had been bombarded by countless meteorites. He was completely bewildered. The scoundrel that I've always looked down on, thinking he was repeatedly trying to get close to Qiao with the intention of climbing the great tree that is our West family. The one at the spaceship store, and just now, whom I repeatedly warned and threatened, whose only backing was a small law enforcer, a country bumpkin from a rural planet, is actually the celebrated protagonist of today's banquet, the holder of the mysterious, legendary immortal level bloodline, the super genius who appears only once in a million years in the Yamustar sector. Milton's body trembled violently, his head spinning. He immediately started foaming at the mouth. Not only did I fail to make a connection, but I also offended him twice. I'm finished. If the family finds out, I'll be completely finished. This blow was far more terrifying than the nicknames Pig Riding Knight and 150-year-old God of War. If his father, Count West, found out that he had grievously offended Lucian, he probably wouldn't just be grounded. His legs would likely be broken directly, and it was very possible that he would be stripped of his right to inherit the West family. No wonder those old foxes were fawning over Fair at the center of the banquet. Milton remembered the strange phenomenon he had seen earlier when he saw Fair surrounded by a crowd. At this moment, he understood everything completely. His expression was one of panic, and foam kept bubbling from his mouth, looking incredibly comical. It wasn't just Milton. At this moment, Kaha was also covering her mouth with her small hand, her eyes wide as she stared at Lucian. He's the genius who caused the phenomenon that day. She had met Lucian a few times and only felt that they had some fate. Plus he was very handsome. She had absolutely no idea that his background and talent were so intimidating. Surrounded by countless gazes, Lucian felt a little uncomfortable. It was precisely because he was afraid of this kind of situation that he had refused the suggestion of Deng Luopu and the others. But unexpectedly, he was still exposed in front of everyone. Even his impression of Lanchi was not very good, but Lanchi was full of sincerity, so Lucian couldn't just slap his outstretched hand away. He could only accept the card Lanchi offered and nod, saying, "I'm a little troubled right now, but I will consider your proposal." "It seems so. Thank you, Your Highness Lucian." Lanchi displayed the etiquette of a high-class interstellar nobleman. After showing his goodwill to Lucian, he did not linger and took the initiative to step aside. Then, Lucian saw other well-dressed interstellar nobles rushing towards him like hungry wolves seeing fatty meat, constantly cheering his name. Your Highness Lucian, so many people surrounding me, wahede. I can only deal with them perfunctorily." Lucian secretly rubbed his temples and began to deal with them helplessly. At the same time, in front of the law enforcement department of the Yamustar sector, Zhao Lin was suddenly startled by the dazzling sunlight. He exclaimed, "So blinding, how long has it been since we've seen the sun?" A member of the law enforcement department said, "Your spaceship is parked at Dock 284. You can claim it with the certificate. Go on, now. Thank you." In front of the law enforcement department of the Yamustar sector, the gray-haired Zhao Lin took the spaceship control key and the certificate from the member of the law enforcement department. The member who had led them out nodded without saying anything more and turned back into the department. Lan Shen, standing next to Zhao Lin, had an extremely ugly expression. "Zhao Lin, have you been locked up for too long? They locked us up for so long, and you're still thanking them. They treated me very well." Zhao Lin blinked, his expression surprised. Except for not having the right to communicate with the outside world, all the treatment was of the highest standard. "I got whatever I wanted, even women. Not just one muse, but always two with large hearts by my side." "What?" Lan Shen asked in disbelief. "You're saying you enjoyed the highest treatment while being detained? If not, then what?" "Weren't you?" Zhao Lin asked back, puzzled. Lan Shen took a deep breath. "This?" Then he pretended to nod happily. "That's right, of course I was too. It was just the highest treatment for prisoners. They used every means to get information about Lucian from me. Damn it." Lan Shen remembered the days he very much wanted to forget. He and Zhao Lin were like one in heaven and the other in hell. The more Lan Shen thought about it, the angrier he got. He couldn't help but tremble with anger. "No, this isn't over. After I get back, I will definitely make this public. After I get back, I will definitely file a complaint against them. Forget it." Zhao Lin patted Lan Shen's shoulder. His expression relaxed as he comforted him. "The fact that we were released proves that everything is over. There's no point in fussing over these things now. Isn't it good to be alive, my friend?" Zhao Lin's words hit a sore spot. Lan Shen said with an unwilling and resentful expression, "How can I not fuss over it? That was a genius with a radiant moon-level bloodline, maybe even a super genius with a blazing sun-level bloodline. I was the one who discovered him first. To have him snatched away by the people of the Yamustar sector just like that. If we had reported it to our superiors, we would have received so many benefits. Think about it from another perspective." Zhao Lin continued to comfort him. "What if Lucian's talent isn't as outstanding as we thought? After all, the blazing sun level isn't that easy to achieve. And a talent with a radiant moon level bloodline isn't that hard for people to accept." "Do you really think so?" Lan Shen said with a bitter smile. "How many years does it take for a radiant moon level bloodline to appear in the entire White Fog Star sector?" As the two were arguing, a voice came from the side. "Oh my god, So that immortal level great person is only 20 years old, so young. A group of people were rushing in one direction, chattering excitedly as they ran. I want to see what he looks like. Immortal level, damn it, I have to get there quickly. Lanchi caught bits and pieces of the crowd's conversation and asked curiously, what are they talking about? Immortal level. What's the immortal level? Gao Lin explained, it's the legend of legends. Only in the capital star region of the Serpent Galaxy has such a terrifying bloodline with a 1 in a trillion, 10,000 chance ever been born. Hearing this, Lanchi's scalp went numb. This is the first time I've ever heard of a genius of this level. Zhao Lin suddenly remembered something, and was startled. Wait, 20 years old. Lanchi roared, impossible, could it be? At that moment, a Yamu Star Sector announcement airship flew past overhead, broadcasting the news. Warmly congratulate our Yamu Star Sector on the birth of an immortal-level transcendent life form, a genius in a trillion years. Lanchi and Zhao Lin stared at the screen, which was about to display the image. Immediately, Lanchi saw something he couldn't believe and roared. On the virtual screen, the vast cosmos was displayed. The majestic Stargate stood tall, a golden pillar of light piercing the cosmos, and the 9 constellations were completely lit up. A handsome young man, his entire body covered in exquisite golden patterns, a dazzling golden point on his forehead, stood with an arrogant posture like a god of the cosmos. When he clearly saw the young man's face, Lanchi roared until he was out of breath. It's Lucian. He's the immortal-level interstellar genius. At the same time, inside the headquarters of the law enforcement department in the White Fog Star Sector, a tall middle-aged man walked out of his office holding a small paper box. His face was expressionless, his eyes dull, and his whole demeanor seemed a bit dejected. As he walked through the work area, he attracted the attention of quite a few people. Groups of 2 or 3 quickly gathered together, whispering among themselves. What's wrong with Lords? Isn't he in his prime? Why is he retiring all of a sudden? Someone next to them sighed and explained, you don't know. He's abandoned his mission this time, causing our White Fog Star Sector to miss out on a martial arts genius with extremely outstanding aptitude. Chief Enforcer Lenun was furious. He said it was early retirement, but in reality, it's not much different from being dismissed. The person who heard this also sighed helplessly. Heavens, that happened. The curious person continued to ask, what level of genius could cause a peak level 11 expert like Lords to lose his position over it? I'm not too sure either. Sylar heard these words, and the skin on his face twitched slightly. He gritted his teeth and cursed loudly, Fair, that bastard. Fair, that bastard. Fair, that bastard. This time, he had been tricked by that guy Fair. Who would have thought that a guy with thick eyebrows and big eyes could have such a dark heart? Although I was also negligent, doesn't he bear at least 1% of the blame? Of course the main reason was his own negligence, but since things had come to this, it didn't matter anymore. After a fit of rage, he slumped his head in sadness. The 2 behind him saw this, and whispered to each other. His emotions are changing so quickly. He must be going through menopause. He really should retire. At this point, he had no choice but to accept his fate. Retirement it is. I haven't had a rest in a long time anyway. Said recently bought a garden planet with beautiful scenery and a pleasant environment. He hadn't had time to visit it yet. This was a good opportunity to take his wife and children for a vacation. He had heard that on that garden planet, there was sugar water, onion-flavored lakes, the ground was covered in mutton worms, and the trees were full of. Thinking about these things, Sylar's mood improved considerably. His expression relaxed, and his steps became lighter. The 2 behind him saw his emotions swinging wildly like a madman's, sometimes crying, sometimes laughing, and broke out in a cold sweat. He's happy again. How disgusting. Just then, an urgent announcement was broadcast. Sylar was startled to see the image of a furious Lenun. Enforcers, a level 10, due to dereliction of duty, has committed an extremely serious and unforgivable error in his work, causing an immeasurable and enormous loss to the White Fog Star Sector. The circumstances are severe, and the crime is unforgivable. The following punishment is now issued for Level 11 Enforcers. First, his title is revoked for life, and his family is barred from applying for noble status for 3 generations. Second, he is stripped of his position as a Level 11 Enforcer. Third, he is to be sent to the 8th level star battlefield to stand guard for 3,000 years. The cold announcement echoed repeatedly throughout the hall of the law enforcement department, reaching every nook and cranny. Everyone looked up and listened for a while, then, with expressions of disbelief, they turned to look at S. After the announcement about him rang out, S was completely stunned. Hearing the part about being sent to the 8th level star battlefield to stand guard for 3,000 years, the paper box he was holding fell to the ground, its contents scattering everywhere. Hup. Why? Stood there dumbfounded, unable to recover for a long time. 3,000 years. I'm finished. I just let 1 person go. How could losing just 1 person be this serious? At this moment, S was completely broken. On the other side, however, the situation was the complete opposite of Sis. The young man, Lucian, was cultivating with great excitement. Not long after, he walked out of the ruins where he had just been cultivating. As he walked, he excitedly muttered to himself, I am provided with unlimited access to all necessary resources for cultivation, a full set of level 11 weapons, and the latest model of a personal spaceship. This is absolutely amazing. Lucian sat in a large room, took a sip of water, and recalled the conditions he had obtained from Deng Luopu and the others, unable to help but sigh from the bottom of his heart. Is this the feeling of being the favored child of a star sector? It's truly too wonderful. An entire star sector is providing me with resources. It was no exaggeration to say that whatever Lucian wanted now, the Yamu Star Sector Federation would do its best to satisfy him. Deng Luopu and the others had made it clear that they wanted to use the entire resources of the Yamu Star Sector to nurture him. Great, I feel like money is just a number to me now. As long as I don't go too far, I can basically get whatever I want. I don't have to worry about cultivation resources anymore. Before I left the Azure Star, I just wanted to save up enough money to buy a life planet. I didn't expect that with just a little carelessness, I now own an entire star system. Lucian recalled the scene when he had proposed the idea of wanting a high-level life planet to Deng Luopu and the others. Deng Luopu had laughed heartily, then directly took out a star chart for him, waved his hand, and said, choose whatever you want. Within the scope of the Yamu Star Sector, whichever area you choose will be yours. Deng Luopu was just that generous. Moreover, Lucian's current status had also changed. He had gone from a third-class citizen to a count, possessing an official noble title. This was the highest-level interstellar title that the Yamu Star Sector Federation could bestow. However, he was only a prospective count because his current realm was only at level 9. He would have to wait until he officially advanced to level 11 for the word prospective to be removed. But whether it was there or not didn't matter. Lucian could already enjoy the benefits of an interstellar count, and even more. He hadn't even chosen his count's territory yet, he felt that it didn't matter whether he chose it or not. Others exhausted themselves, breaking their heads to become interstellar nobles just to have their own territory. The ultimate goal was still for resources and wealth. But now, in this Yamu Star Sector, resources and wealth were as easy as turning his hand for Lucian. It was as if the money printing press was opened by Lucian himself. Why would he need to go outside and work hard to earn money? He just needed to pick a few high-security life planets. I'll choose later when I have time. Lucian calculated in his mind, I'll choose a few good life planets, one for each major province of the Dragon Country. The other countries can just squeeze onto one planet. The young man felt extremely pleased just thinking about this. Lucian couldn't help but sigh at the miraculous changes in the world. Not long ago, he was just a country bumpkin from a low-level civilization planet. In the blink of an eye, he could represent an interstellar noble family. Now, if I want to teach Milton a lesson, I don't have to be sneaky about it. I could slap him twice right in front of his father, and his father would probably clap and laugh, praising me for hitting well. The young man felt a thrill of excitement at the thought of Milton's pitiful state. Lucian leaned back on the sofa, thinking to himself, I wonder what my parents, my sister, and my wife's reactions will be when they find out this news. Just then, a pair of slender, shapely legs walked in. Brothers, looking at this, you're probably gulping down your saliva. It was another woman with a hot body, a sweet face, and a standard beauty mark at the corner of her mouth. Seeing Lucian, she immediately said respectfully, My lord, the planet-class spaceship you requested has been delivered. This girl was a secretary from the Yamu Star Sector Federation's lower parliament, specially responsible for receiving Lucian during this period, almost like his personal life assistant. Seeing the girl, Lucian excitedly stood up. Good, take me to see the spaceship. I'm quite curious about a spaceship that can hold the people of an entire planet. The girl informed him, it's just that the spaceship can't depart for now because that area belongs to the White Fog Star Sector. We are looking for a solution. Belongs to the White Fog Star Sector. The young man was very puzzled to hear this. Suddenly, the communicator in Lucian's pocket vibrated. Dong Qingxu's familiar, delicate face appeared on the communicator. Lucian, are you busy? Lucian noticed that Dong Qingxu's expression was a little off, as if she had something on her mind, something she wanted to tell him. The smile on Lucian's face gradually faded, and he asked calmly, What's wrong, my dear? Did something happen? Dong Qingxu hesitated for a moment, thought for a bit, and finally said to Lucian, Lucian, the Azure Star seems to be in big trouble. Lucian was startled and asked loudly, What? In the Dragon Country in the Hufu community of Bai City, Dunning Province, Dong Qingxu ended her communication with Lucian and walked out of the room. She went to the living room, where the couple Lu Dahai and Zhen Yufan were watching tea. They immediately looked at her. Qingxu, are you done talking to Lucian? Zhen Yufan couldn't help but ask. Did little Shen say when he's coming back? He's been out for several months. Sigh, the place little Shen went is the universe, Lu Dahai said. gesturing with his hands. Do you know how big the universe is? Do you think it's just the entrance to the food market? It's not that easy for little Shen to come and go. Don't worry about it. He'll come back when he's done with his work. Deng Yufan was still worried but just said, "Ho. You're right. I'll go cook. It would be best if Lucian could come back soon." Don Kingsu comforted her. "It's okay, Mom. Lucian is doing very well in the universe. I heard he's become a count. You don't have to worry. Dad, I'm going out for a walk." "Okay, go ahead." Then he turned to Deng Yufan. "Did you hear that? I told you so." After greeting Lu Dahai, Dong Kingsu left the living room and went straight to the villa's courtyard outside. Just then, a woman walked up to Dong Kingsu and called out, "Mrs. Lu." Dong Kingsu walked straight towards the other party. When she got close, she said softly, "Transcendent Martial Saint." Lin Zhenyu nodded slightly, then asked with a serious expression, "Have you told Lord Lu about our situation?" Dong Kingsu nodded. "I've told him." "Then what did Lord Lu say?" A hint of urgency appeared on Lin Zhenyu's face. Dong Kingsu replied, "Lu Shen said he will return as soon as possible and will also help us solve this trouble through another, faster channel." "Another channel?" Lin Zhenyu blinked, a little puzzled. Dong Kingsu explained, "I'm not sure what he meant by another channel. He didn't explain it in detail to me, just told us not to worry." Lin Zhenyu nodded, her expression still a little worried. "In the end, it's because our strength is too weak. We are just a low-level civilization planet, only qualified to be exploited and oppressed." The guide you brought before, Lanchi, was still quite easy to talk to. This time, they suddenly changed to a new person. He clearly just finished collecting resources, but he wants us to submit another batch, and the amount is hundreds of times more than before. He's definitely doing it for his own personal gain. Dong Kingsu asked. "From the sound of it, you can't gather enough." "Of course not. It's like trying to shear a single sheep to supply an entire garment factory. It's completely impossible. Even if we use our own money, we can't even make up half of it." Lin Zhenyu sighed softly, her words full of helplessness. "It's true that the weak are bullied, and the weak horse is ridden." Dong Kingsu comforted her, "When Lucian returns, everything will be resolved." Lin Zhenyu was silent for a moment, then said, "If we weren't really forced into a corner, I would also hope that we could solve this trouble without relying on Lord Lu's strength. With Lord Lu's temperament, when he returns, he will definitely fight with that guide. It's not that I don't believe in Lord Lu's strength, it's just that the guide represents the authority of a high-level martial arts civilization in the cosmos. One guide is easy to deal with, but even if this guide is driven away, I'm afraid the next time he comes, he'll bring an entire fleet. Lord Lu has astonishing martial arts talent, and his future is definitely bright. If, because of us, he provokes an unstoppable enemy and hinders his martial path, then old folks like me from the Azure Star will find it hard to escape the blame even in death." Hearing Lin Zhenyu's words, Dong Kingsu's eyes flickered. After thinking for a moment, she couldn't help but say, "Actually, I don't know how to describe Lu Shen's situation in the universe right now. I only know something about him being a count. And he just bought a spaceship to come and pick us up. I don't really understand to what extent. In the end, he just told me they have the ability to solve it. Wait for me to come back." At the same time with Lucian. The situation is roughly like that. Lucian briefly explained the trouble on the Azure Star to Deng Luopo. After speaking, Lucian felt a little embarrassed. It feels a bit awkward to say it out loud. The speaker and the dean manage trillions of life planets, big and small. For them to personally help me handle this trivial matter, it's like someone running into your yard to steal a chicken, and you run straight to the emperor to seek justice. And it's the emperor of another country at that. Lucian truly felt embarrassed, but he really didn't know who else to turn to. Finding Deng Luopu was the fastest and most direct way. But Deng Luopu didn't mind these things. On the contrary, he gave a serious ahu and thought for a moment. Seeing Deng Luopu thinking, Lucian turned to the beautiful female chief enforcer. After all, talking to a girl was always more pleasant. "Chief enforcer, how should this situation be resolved? I don't know who to find. Do you have any solutions?" The female chief enforcer looked at Lu Sheng as if she were about to lay an egg and said, "The Azure Star, after all, is a resource planet belonging to the White Fog Star Sector. Our Yamu Star Sector's forces cannot directly intervene on your behalf, but it's easy to handle. I just need to contact a few interstellar nobles near your home planet. I believe that with their influence in the Yamu Star Sector, resolving a small matter of a resource department guide will be no problem at all. I'll go and arrange it right now. You don't have to worry." Hearing this, Lu Shen thanked her. Hearing the female chief enforcer's promise, Lu Shen was completely at ease. The female chief enforcer quickly replied, "It's a small matter. Actually, I also have something I'd like to ask of you." The female chief enforcer seemed to be thinking to herself, "I want to marry you." Seeing the beautiful chief enforcer say she had something to ask, the young man Lu Shen's natural instinct to flirt with girls appeared on his face. He said cheerfully, "Please, chief enforcer, go ahead." The young man, Lucian, stepped forward, faced the beautiful female chief enforcer, and swore with a smile, "What is it? If I can do it, I will definitely do my best for a beauty." Lucian stroked his chin and thought, the Yamu Star sector has given me quite a few benefits during this period. Not to mention other things, just that white hole spaceship alone is worth tens of billions of black star coins, and that's the cost price, not the selling price. There are countless other miscellaneous cultivation resources. I've received so much that I'm embarrassed. This time, they even helped me solve the problem on my home planet. Although he had an immortal level transcendent life physique, was the #1 genius of the Yamu Star sector in a million years, and the golden goose of the entire star sector, he always felt a little guilty if he didn't do something for the Yamu Star sector. Since Lucian had grown up, he had never taken anything from others for free. In the Dragon Country, the military had gone all out to cultivate him, and in return, he had contributed countless martial arts techniques and advanced civilized crystallizations. Before he left, he even specially told Lin Zhenyu to distribute several tons of energy crystals to everyone. Whatever happened on the Azure Star, he was always the first to rush in, busy from beginning to end. As the saying goes, a drop of kindness should be repaid with a gushing spring. Lucian had always been a person who valued relationships. Is there anything else? Deng Luopu was a seasoned veteran. How could he not see what was on Lucian's mind? The more Lucian was like this, the happier Deng Luopu was. An immortal level bloodline was already very rare, and an immortal level bloodline with a pure heart and upright character was even rarer. The Yamu Star sector's luck was too good to have someone like Lucian. Aha. Deng Luopu thought for a moment, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he said to Lucian with a smile, "Are you interested in participating in a friendly competition and exchange with the top geniuses of other star sectors? It could be a way to promote each other's martial arts strength." Lucian's eyes lit up, and his heart beat a few times faster. It seemed as if the speed of his blood flow had also increased significantly. Lucian had never been one to fear a fight. On the contrary, he had always longed for battle, enjoyed the thrill of combat, and pursued the ultimate clash. Deng Luopu's suggestion immediately scratched an itch in his heart, and was very much to his liking. The vast stage of the universe, the contention of 10,000 races, the clash of prodigies. The thought of having the opportunity to crush the heads of universe-level geniuses from different star sectors and races, leaving his own fist imprints on their small bodies, made Lucian's blood boil with excitement and infinite anticipation. "I can," Lucian nodded decisively. "When does it start, roughly? What are the specifics?" Deng Luopu explained, "My idea is to, on behalf of the Yamu Star sector, jointly launch a super-large, cross-star sector martial arts genius exchange tournament with the 13 surrounding star sectors. When the tournament takes place, all the super geniuses from different civilizations and races of the 13 star sectors will be brought in to be your training partners." Hearing the words training partners, Lucian was slightly taken aback and thought for a moment. He was extremely excited now. This is truly a grand stage in the cosmos. If you're good, then come. The struggle of 10,000 races, the clash of prodigies. The opportunity to reach out and pinch the little heads of space-level geniuses from different star sectors and races has me full of anticipation. Lucian made a firm deal with Deng Luopu. "Alright, I accept. When does it start?" "No hurry," Deng Luopu explained. "This is just an idea of mine for now. We still have to ask if the other star sectors agree. The specifics of who will participate still need to be discussed." Deng Luopu pointed at Lucian's chest and said decisively, "The key lies with you." Deng Luopu instructed Lucian with a serious face, "The only thing you need to do now is to cultivate, and continuously cultivate to become stronger." The female chief enforcer continued the explanation for Lucian to understand the issue. "Although an immortal level bloodline is powerful, your current realm of strength is still a bit low." She continued, "The other star sectors definitely don't have an immortal level bloodline, but with 13 star sectors gathered together, there are many with radiant moon level bloodlines, and at least a few with blazing sun level bloodlines. Level 12 experts will definitely not participate, but there will definitely be no shortage of level 11s. "That's right, but don't just get excited, Lucian," Deng Luopu added. "Although my purpose is to bring people to train with you. The order of victory and defeat doesn't matter. After all, your future prospects are thousands of times greater than any of them. However, I still hope that this unprecedented cross-star sector martial arts tournament of top geniuses will be a battle to display the might of the immortal level bloodline and enhance the prestige of our Yamu Star sector." An immortal level transcendent life physique had only appeared in the Yamu Star sector once in a million years. Moreover, it was unknown how long Lucian would stay in the Yamu Star sector, or when the ruling star system would send someone to take him away. Taking advantage of the time Lucian was still in the Yamu Star sector, Deng Luopu wanted to show off to the surrounding star sectors. This was also a part of a well-played political move. Deng Luopu might be able to stay in his position as speaker until retirement, and it was not impossible for him to go to a higher star sector and assume an even more illustrious position. Hearing Deng Luopu's conditions for participating in this martial arts tournament, Lucian was also much more at ease. This way, he could feel at ease using the resources given to him. But the young man just smirked. Are they all just level 11 opponents? Not enough. There should at least be a few level 12 martial arts geniuses, otherwise the pressure is too small. Lucian's words made Deng Luopu and the beautiful female chief enforcer break out in a cold sweat, their hearts filled with confusion. At the same time, on the Azure Star, on a small island in the Eagle Emperor's Ocean, the sun was bright, the sea was blue, and the sand was golden. On the beach were more than 100 scantily clad beauties of different skin colors. This place was called Paradise, and this paradise was built entirely for one person. This was a short, fat man, no taller than 1.5 meters. His skin was extremely smooth and delicate. His appearance was not much different from the people of the Azure Star, except that his ears had no lobes and were a little large. This slightly chubby guide was enjoying the treatment of a human emperor. All the women on this beach served him alone. He could do whatever he wanted here. Right now, he was holding a coconut in one hand, taking a cool sip, and holding up a communicator in the other. While enjoying the company of the beauties beside him, he was chatting with a friend far away in the cosmos. Because he was using the common language of the universe, he was not at all worried about being overheard, so he had no inhibitions about the presence of others. Mars, guess how much fat I've skimmed on this trip? A tiny image of Mars appeared on the communicator. Mars let out an "oh." The short, fat guide held up the communicator, raised a finger at the virtual miniature person before him with a smug expression, and said in a boastful tone, 100,000, at least 100,000, and it's in Black Star coins, damn it, the virtual miniature person on the communicator exclaimed in disbelief. 100,000. You're not kidding, are you? Is there such a good thing? Do I look like I'm kidding you? The short, fat guide laughed. You have no idea how rich these low-level resource planets are. The guy before me was too stupid. Every time he came to collect resources, he would only collect the quota his superiors told him to. Isn't that a pure fool? Putting the coconut down, the short, fat guide laughed smugly again. But it's a good thing. If he wasn't a fool, it wouldn't be my turn to benefit. Just a few more trips like this, and I'll soon have enough money to buy a house, a spaceship, and the dowry to marry Magdalena. Those little gifts I gave before weren't in vain. They sent me to the resource department in one go, where the fat is just overflowing. That little bit of money for the gifts, I made it back in one trip. Ha ha ha. After the short, fat guide finished speaking, the virtual miniature person on the communicator's eyes were red with envy. Mars clicked his tongue in desire. Damn it, working at the grassroots level is hard, but seeing you like this, enjoying the highest treatment and service on every resource planet, and getting to see the beautiful scenery of different planets, not to mention the beauties and delicacies. Mars roared, this is such a happy life. I want to be transferred to the resource department too. Who would have thought that being a guide could be such a lucrative profession? The short, fat guide said with a smile, you can't say that. Some places have a lot of fat, and some places are completely barren. For example, the Azure Star, number 28,462, where I am now. It looks ordinary, and its martial arts civilization has only developed for 300 years. But who would have thought that the exploration of this planet's energy crystal mines has reached 90? This planet alone has provided me with a full 10,000 Black Star coins. Is it that exaggerated? The virtual Mars on the communicator was extremely surprised and couldn't help but ask, but since this planet's energy crystal output is so rich, there must be quite a few martial arts experts, right? Be careful not to capsize in a calm river. People from low-level civilizations are all barbarians. If you push them too far, they might just rush up and kill you. The short, fat guide shook his head and said, I'm more careful than you. I've already investigated. The highest on the Azure Star is only level 9, and there are less than 100 of them. As for their martial arts inheritance. He paused and then continued, it's rather strange. The lower level martial arts inheritance looks very high level, but the highest level martial arts inheritance is hopelessly backward. It seems it's because a genius named Martial God appeared on this planet, and left for the cosmos. I reckon these lower level martial arts inheritances were bought by him from outside and passed down. After all, low level ones are cheap. Hearing this, Mars reminded him, a genius from a native civilization who can leave the planet is not simple. Be careful not to step on a landmine. The short, fat guide had a carefree expression. What's there to be afraid of? I've already investigated. This planet hasn't even been issued a level 10 martial arts qualification license, which means it has never produced a martial artist above level 10. I can take on as many level 9s as they can throw at me. That genius who left the planet for the cosmos is nothing. What do I have to be afraid of? Only then did the virtual Mars on the communicator nod, continuing to express his admiration. If that's the case, then it's up to you. Oh right, something big has happened in the capital star region recently. A super genius with an immortal-level transcendent life physique has appeared in the neighboring Yamu star sector, shaking all the star sectors. Mars said excitedly on the communicator. Immortal-level bloodline. The short, fat guy jumped in surprise. Immortal-level bloodline. Isn't that just a legend? Damn it, is it for real? A super genius with an immortal-level transcendent life physique has appeared in the Yamu star sector. Mars replied, why would I lie to you? You can check it out yourself. The virtual Mars said with emotion, originally, that genius belonged to our white fog star sector, but because of a negligent enforcer, he was snatched away by the Yamu star sector. I heard that the level 11 enforcer, who abandoned his mission, was demoted for it. The higher-ups directly sent him to the star battlefield for 3,000 years. After Mars's explanation, the short, fat man also figured it out. So that's what happened. The Yamu star sector is really cunning. That's right. You don't know, but now all the nobles in the capital star region are frantically screening for talent on the low-level civilization planets in their territories. It's become a unique trend. Mars continued to remind him, oh right, I'm reminding you not to go too far on the low-level resource planets. Don't end up provoking some monstrous genius that you can't handle. The fat man waved his hand with a nonchalant expression. No way, no way. How could I provoke that kind of big shot? I'm in star cluster number 2837, which can be said to be the outskirts of the outskirts. Hearing the somewhat familiar number, Mars was startled. Duh. What did you say? He then checked the information. Wait a minute. It seems that the genius was discovered in your star cluster. The fat man jumped upon hearing this. He broke out in a sweat and pressed, brother, you're not kidding me, are you? But he quickly clenched his fists and comforted himself. Mars is just talking nonsense. Even if it's really in star cluster number 2837, there are tens of millions of life planets inside. What are the chances I'll run into him? 1 in a billion. If I were that unlucky, I'd do a handstand and crap on the spot, and then eat it all. Not Ursi continued, you fatty, trying to score another free meal. Alright, look at that crazy face of yours. Just remember to treat me to a lavish feast later. Hanging up now. After ending the call with Ursi, the fatty Buick checked the news on his communicator, his face twisting into a grimace. Heavens, is there really an immortal level being? The number 1 genius of the 13 districts in a million years is actually nearby. No way, absolutely impossible. At that moment, he refused to believe the information he was seeing. But a moment later, his smug and complacent nature returned. How could I be so unlucky? I'm just worrying over nothing. For now, I'll just enjoy myself. Suddenly remembering something, Bua mumbled, right, the deadline I gave them is in less than 2 days, isn't it? Why haven't those guys made a move? It's time to give them a reminder. Stumping his foot, Bua's entire body erupted in flames as he soared into the sky, landing in front of Cameron, startling the old man. Cameron immediately bowed his head in respect. Cameron greets you, Millard. After respectfully saluting Bua, the middle-aged man stood to the side with his head lowered, saying nothing. Bua remained silent as well. Soon, the 9th-level martial saints from Azure planet began to arrive one by one, 23 in total. Millard, our deepest apologies for being late. They all knelt, pressing their foreheads to the ground in reverence. We greet you, Millard. In their own domains, these individuals were all powerful martial arts masters whose words were law. Yet now, kneeling before Bua, they were like junior employees awaiting their boss's review, waiting to be called upon. Bua thoroughly enjoyed this feeling. Back on the White Mist home planet, Bua's life was full of frustration. At work, he was lectured by his superiors and bullied by his colleagues. In his personal life, his girlfriend scolded him for having no ambition, and her mother looked down on him. Everywhere he went, he had to be subservient. But here, on this low-level civilized planet with its backward heritage, he enjoyed unprecedented treatment. Everyone looked at him with eyes full of awe and fear. Here, he was the supreme, unrivaled king. Bua cleared his throat, putting on a fierce expression as he barked, all of you, what I told you to do before, how is it coming along? Is it done? The 20-plus 9th-level martial saints looked at each other, and even Cameron broke out in a cold sweat. Following this, each of them took out a small amount of energy crystals and placed them before Bua. Bua had been smiling, but after they presented the energy crystals, the total didn't even reach half of what he had expected. He let out a cold snort, the smile vanishing from his face, his expression turning icy. This is all. Are you kidding me? Is this the result of your efforts during this time? Are you messing with me? You bastards, do you take me for some cosmic beggar to give charity to? A powerful aura belonging to a 10th-level martial artist erupted from Bua. A terrifying pressure filled the heavens and the earth. The once sun-drenched beach quickly grew dim. The nearby sea began to boil, and violent waves surged. The sky turned dark as lightning gathered. The faces of the Azure planet's martial saints changed drastically. Crushed by Bua's aura, Each one of them felt like a small boat tossed in a raging storm, unstable and adrift. Mustering their courage, they took a step forward and prostrated themselves. "My lord, please calm your anger." Suddenly a voice rang out. "Please wait a moment." It was Lin Zhenyu. She walked forward slowly and said, "Respected guide, our Azure planet is only a level 1 resource planet. Our production of resources is limited. Furthermore, we have already submitted an excess of energy crystals previously. We truly cannot gather any more right now." Lin Zhenyu bowed deeply. "We sincerely hope the guide can understand our situation." "You want me to understand you? Then who will understand me?" Duo said with a cold laugh, his eyes growing even colder. He ground his teeth as he stared at Lin Zhenyu, thinking to himself, "This woman is a loyal fan of that god of war, and a stubborn one at that. The last time I increased the quota by 300 times, she was the one who complained the most and riled up the other martial saints on Azure planet." Duo had long since found Lin Zhenyu to be an eyesore. "Fine, then I'll make an example out of you," Duo mused. He could see that these 9th level powerhouses from Azure planet wouldn't yield unless they were faced with death. Without applying some pressure, he wouldn't be able to squeeze any more out of them. The Ministry of Resources collected from resource planets once every 10 years. He didn't have the time to linger here. He had to get to the next resource planet to exploit. He wanted to kill the chicken to scare the monkeys, and Lin Zhenyu was clearly the best chicken. Lin Zhenyu, oblivious to Buu's sinister thoughts, was about to say more when suddenly the world around her shifted. A great, invisible suction force stirred, and the very space around her collapsed. Her vision blurred, and in the next instant, she was in Buu's grasp. The enraged guide's short, thick fingers, like carrots, clamped around Lin Zhenyu's neck, lifting her into the air. With one hand choking her, a terrifying 10th level power surged from his fingers into her body. Lin Zhenyu's body trembled as her martial soul and spirit showed faint signs of shattering under the immense force. Choking, Lin Zhenyu struggled for breath. "Tell me, little lady, do you enjoy being the bird that sticks its neck out so much?" The martial saints of Azure planet paled, and a few even took several steps forward. "My lord, please show mercy." But when Buu's gaze, filled with a bone-chilling, piercing killing intent, fell upon them, they quickly retreated. "Do you want to die too?" Buu's voice was frigid as his sharp gaze swept over the martial saints. Their scalps tingled and they stammered, "Oui." Buu's expression was indifferent as he enunciated each word. "I'll give you 5 more days. If after 5 days, you still can't gather the number of energy crystals I require." His eyes returned to Lin Zhenyu, a cold glint flashing within them as killing intent surged. "Then you can all prepare to share her fate." With that, Buo intended to obliterate Lin Zhenyu on the spot, his grip tightening. Blood spurted from her lips as she writhed in agony. Just then stop. Accompanying the shout was a slash of energy. Buo's arm was instantly severed. He clutched his stump, screaming in pain, his face contorted with rage as he gnashed his teeth and roared, "Who the hell was it? Who sneak attacked me?" Buo turned his head and saw a colossal spaceship, letting out a gas. The expression on his face froze completely. Reflected in his eyes was a sight he would never forget for the rest of his life. In the vast sky, an immense, dark gray spaceship, tens of thousands of kilometers in diameter, slowly emerged. Its bow was both ferocious and ornate. Its slow descent was like a terrifying cosmic beast emerging from its lair, poking its head through the atmosphere bit by bit. Not only that, but countless smaller ships swarmed out from around the massive vessel, speeding towards the small island below. Buo's expression was dazed as he stared at the giant ship. No, to be precise, this could be considered a cosmic fleet. He was utterly bewildered. What was happening? So many ships. His mind went blank, his face a mask of confusion. Could some major figure from the cosmos have arrived? Who just told me to stop? Buo's eyes scanned the ship's hull, finally resting on a giant emblem resembling a black dragon. That's the black dragon emblem. His pupils contracted violently, and a noble title echoed in his mind like thunder, shaking him to his core. That is the family crest of the Black Dragon Mountain family. It's the cosmic fleet of the Black Dragon Mountain family. Black Dragon Mountain was one of the top-tier powers in the White Mist Star sector. Buo's mind trembled violently, completely unable to comprehend why the cosmic fleet of the Black Dragon Mountain family would suddenly appear at a level 1 resource planet so insignificant it was hard to find on a star chart. This was like a peasant's thatched hut suddenly being visited by a great dignitary. A powerful voice boomed from the ship. "Kneel." The terrifying pressure made it impossible for Buo to stand, and he collapsed to his knees. He pressed his forehead to the ground, crying out in fear, my lord, why?" Hearing footsteps, Buo looked up. A man in an ornate, metallic long robe with purple hair and purple eyes stood before him, his handsome face exuding an incredibly intense and intimidating pressure. Every move this man made radiated the dense aura of a top-tier superior. He was the Count of Black Dragon Mountain, named Lucian. Buo's body trembled uncontrollably as he nodded his head frantically. Yes, my lord." Waves of shock crashed through Buo's mind. Lucian was one of the 12 supreme powerhouses of the White Mist Star sector, a cosmic count. In terms of both strength and status, Lucian was among the absolute elite of the sector. Why was he here? Why would he suddenly descend upon a backwater place like Azure planet? Lucian's next words answered the question in Buo's heart. He looked down at Buo and nodded slightly. As a guide, you've used your power for personal gain and acted tyrannically on the homeworld of an immortal count. 1,000 deaths would not be enough to atone for your crimes. Men, seize him first. We will wait for the immortal count's return to deal with him. Buo couldn't believe what he was hearing and blurted out, "What? The homeworld of an immortal count? Sir, respected Count Lucian, this must be a misunderstanding. You must be mistaken. I have never done the things you speak of. Abusing my authority for personal gain, I admit. But when did I ever act tyrannically on the homeworld of an immortal count? Even with 1,000 guts, I wouldn't dare. I just wanted to skim a little profit from this small, run-down resource planet." Lucian looked down at Buo from above, his voice indifferent. "A misunderstanding. Are you not doing so right now? And you still dare to say I'm mistaken?" "I'm doing it now." Buo was stunned and instinctively wanted to argue. He was just extorting a little from an insignificant resource planet. When, suddenly, comprehension dawned on Buo. His eyes widened in disbelief. "You mean, this Azure planet, designated a 28,462, is the homeworld of that immortal count? How is that possible? This planet has never even produced a 10th level master. How could it give birth to an immortal level? Genius. My lord, there must be a mistake somewhere in all this. Please investigate clearly." Lucian said nothing, merely looking at Buo coldly. It was clear he held no other opinion. Buo felt as if he had swallowed 1,000 flies, his mouth agape, his expression one of utter shock. This Azure planet had actually produced a cosmic count. What kind of joke was this? The records clearly stated this planet had never even produced a powerhouse at the 10th level or above. "My lord, there must be a misunderstanding," Buo moaned, his expression a mixture of shock and suspicion. Lucian had no intention of explaining. Just then, a series of rumbles echoed as the clear blue sky was torn open, revealing a massive hole. A gigantic, snow-white monster slowly emerged from the rift. The creature was shaped like an elegant, giant white bird. It was another massive spaceship, no smaller than the Black Dragon mountain vessel. Printed on its white hull was a wreath and the symbol of a white bird. More rifts began to tear open in the sky. Lucian raised his head and said in a low voice, "Look. The White Sparrow Flower Count family, the Gagner Cosmic Magus Count family, the Ord Count family. All the renowned families have arrived." Lucian roared, "I alone might be mistaken, but all these people have come here because of you. Are you saying they're all mistaken too? 8 cosmic fleets, each representing a top-tier cosmic count power." Buo truly wanted to slap himself hard to see if he was dreaming. But there was no need. The scorching energy emanating from the great families pierced his skin and burned his soul, the sharp, intense pain a constant, clear reminder that this was all real. Buo muttered to himself, How can this be? All these top-tier powers had come for the immortal count that Count Lucian of Black Dragon Mountain had mentioned. Just what kind of heaven-shaking figure was this immortal count? At that moment, Buo felt like kowtowing until his head split open. Why, when his luck was already so bad, did it have to get this much worse?